It's race day for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and dry for a change. After 2 straight weeks of rainouts and Monday matinees, the sun is shining and a field of 43 cars stands ready to race at the Michigan International Speedway. Opened in 1969, this Michigan track has a long history of great competition. And since Detroit's Big Three have always been important in the sport, a win in their hometown is a big deal. Big is a good description of this track. It's fast at 2 miles around, and it's wide. The crowd loves the side-by-side action. Plus, there's plenty of drama. Strategy and fuel mileage often turn victory into defeat and set a surprise to victory lane. With 4 races until the chase, Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson could lock in, while the pressure's on the drivers at the edge, like Greg Biffle, Mark Martin, and Matt Kenseth. They have to outrun people like Kyle Busch, who are pushing hard to get back into the top 12. Add it all together, and you've got the makings of an exciting 400 miles for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Michigan.
T-minus 10, 9, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, ignition.
ESPN welcomes you to NASCAR Countdown, presented by Degree V12. Today, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series races at the Michigan International Speedway for the 81st time. And with the championship cutoff closing in, it could be a big day for a number of drivers. The man who lead this field to the green flag is currently on the outside of the chase looking in. As you see some of the drivers involved in NASCAR's race to the chase, Brian Vickers is 14th in the standings, and he is 2 places below the cut, but only 96 points down. Friday, he won the pole at this track for a 3rd straight time. A win today could be very big for the driver of the Red Bull 83. He's with Dave Burns now.
Alan, he needs points. A win would be great given what we saw in qualifying. Brian, how close is your car to letting you get both today?
Very close. There's no guarantees in this sport, though. We've learned that the hard way. We have a really good car. Really proud of the entire Red Bull Toyota team. Obviously, it was fantastic in qualifying again. Really proud of our qualifying effort, but what we want most is a win. That being said, we can't let a win distract us from the ultimate goal, which is to be in the chase. We can't compromise points for a win. We can't take any unnecessary risks, whether it be pit strategy or my decisions on the racetrack to sacrifice points. We want a good, solid day today, but man, a win would be sweet.
A lot on his mind at a very critical point in the season. Alan, to you in the pit studio.
David, thank you. And our ESPN pit studio is gleaming in the bright Michigan sun. And we hope it stays that way for a change on race day. Welcome inside. Alan Bestwick here with 5-time Michigan winner Rusty Wallace, Big Brad Daugherty, and 3-time Michigan winner Ray Evernham. This is a place the drivers love to come and race.
Oh, Alan, they love this racetrack. There's no doubt about that. I mean, they fly down that front straightaway 200 miles an hour, 2 and 3 wide, all day long. You'll see it. You'll see some fast racing. You'll see some crashes. You'll see everything. But one thing you will see is all the drivers loving Michigan. They like this place.
Yeah, you're exactly right. 2 and 3, sometimes 4 and 5 wide, Rusty, we see at this place. They like to air out those big 700, 800, 900 horsepower hot rods. That all depends on who you're driving for. Kurt Busch was telling me he loves this racetrack. Greg Biffle loves this racetrack because it's almost like going to Daytona, except the packs get spread out. You can pass at different angles, different places on this racetrack. I tell you what, baby, they haul them things off the corner at 200 miles an hour. You better hang on.
And the Detroit auto manufacturers have been so involved with NASCAR over the years. In your experiences, does it make this race different somehow?
It does, and not just for the big wigs. It's not just for them of the auto manufacturers, but it's been tough in Detroit, and these people need some motivation, and the best way to get motivation is to have good competition. So the people in the factories, they need something to rally around, to cheer around. So this is a good race. It's important to come here and run good for the people that support you.
We will talk more about the manufacturers shortly. First, some unfinished business from Monday's race on the road course in Watkins Glen.
Once a year, the peace and tranquility here is shattered by the thunderous roar of race engines.
The goal today for a couple of drivers is to get into the top 12.
Green. Look
at Kurt Busch get the run on the outside.
Yeah. Awesome, Martin.
Boy, Ambrose very aggressive on that move. Set up a great pass here.
Doing a heck of a job, buddy.
Now, we got a caution, and this is just a little bit before their pit windows. A lot of guys will probably have a decision to make.
Yeah, bring it. Pit this time.
The 47 of Marcos Ambrose did not come on pit road.
2, 1, right here. 4 tires of gas.
This could be critical. Got to get it full of fuel. Biffle would move up 2 places in the points, the 10th spot, if he were to finish where he is.
Marcus Ambrose has really pulled away. You can see how fast his car is.
Hey, buddy, you're coming this time.
Here's Marcus Ambrose coming off the racetrack for his first stop of the afternoon.
Guess who, guys? Superman at Watkins Glen, Tony Stewart. Here he comes.
Trouble in the off of turn number 9.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Kyle Busch is the leader. Tony Stewart is second.
Kyle Busch right now just on the outside of the top 12 in points. The lane choice there might have cost Kyle Busch the lead.
Boss man, bring it on home.
Marcus Ambrose has nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Pull us out of there, Frank. Fire out.
It will be official. Tony Stewart wins at Watkins Glen.
You are the man, Mr. Stewart.
Well, that Watkins Glen win for Tony Stewart puts him in position to clinch a place in the chase today. We'll have more on that shortly. If Stewart's win was headline 1 from the Glen, then headline 2 was that big crash 2/3 of the way through the race, exiting turn 9, where the 77 car of Sam Hornish was forced off the track into the tire barrier and then thrown right back onto the track, where he was clobbered by Jeff Gordon and Jeff Burton.
Yes, he was. And, you know, we saw in the nationwide race, Jason Leffler had the same type of accident. I spoke with Mike Helton yesterday, president of NASCAR, and he talked about that corner, and he said it was just something that was never that prevalent. He's never seen wrecks like this in this corner, and they're going to do something about it.
Sam Hornish starts 14th here. Jamie Little, is he ready to go racing?
I'll tell you, the roller coaster of this sport. 2 weeks ago, Pocono, his best career finish 4th, and then last week, one of the biggest wrecks of your career. How did last week's crash compare to anything you've been through, IndyCar or NASCAR, Sam?
Well, you know, we're just trying to make highlight reels, I guess. No, it was a tough weekend last week, but you know, we had lots of ups and downs just in that. With you know, we're going out there, we thought we had a chance at the pole, and then you know, the brakes didn't work, and then you know, Saturday was up and down with the brakes, and then we had a bad break on Sunday with getting in the wall. But as far as the getting hit, you know, that's probably about number 10 on the list. You know, the IndyCars, every wreck that I was ever in hurt a lot more than that. The toll it took on your body over the next week, and how sore you generally tended to be, and you know, kind of what it did to your mindset was, you know, but you're going 50 miles an hour faster, so obviously, you know, you have less time to slow down when you get to the wall.
The safety equipment, of course, did its job, but now looking at this track, this race, it's hot, 400 miles. How do you mentally, you said you're physically okay, but how do you mentally get prepared for this long of a race?
I mean, we've been preparing for it all week. You know, that's the thing. Once you get in one of those wrecks, as long as you're all healthy, you just want to get back out there, get in the car, get some more running, and get back to, you know, feeling comfortable. And you know, obviously the car was very safe, and you know, everything did its job. But you know, there's 400 miles out here in the heat today. You know, you got to worry about making sure that you stay hydrated. It's a long race. Generally, you get long green flag runs here, so you know, that really is a little bit tougher on your body too, just because you're going so hard for so much longer. And I'm just ready to go. I want to get out there. I want to get racing.
Good thing is he's comfortable, and he will roll off 14th, his best start here at Michigan. Alan?
Okay, Jamie, thanks. So we documented that NASCAR and the racetrack are looking at doing something about that Turn 9 configuration. Now let's talk about the aftermath of a wreck from the driver's point of view. You heard what Sam just had to say. Rusty, I've never been through one of those wrecks in a race car. You have. What's it like?
It's a great question. It was a big hit. There's no doubt about that. He said it's one of the hardest hits he's had, he told me. But another thing he said to me, he didn't say there, was that this crash that he had, if that would have happened in an Indy car, his body would have felt 50% more of the impact. That's right, 50% more of the impact. He said, man, I got to tell you, I'm glad that crash happened in one of these stock cars, because they're so much safer, it's unreal. But he'll shake it off. He'll get in that old hot rod of the day. He'll run the race, and that's behind him. But it was a big hit, one he won't forget.
Now, and I spoke to Jeff Gordon yesterday just to check on him, see how he was doing. And he told me that he felt okay, but now the seats and the restraints, they've done such a good job with him. They're holding him the shoulders, around the hips. He's actually thinking about coming up with something that will help hold his midsection, because that's where they're flexing now, and he thinks he might be able to help his back with that. So always something good comes out of a bad wreck like that. We might see more safety things, not only in the fence, but maybe in the race cars.
We will hear from Jeff Gordon a little bit later on NASCAR Countdown. Still to come, Detroit's Big Three and NASCAR racing. What does the future hold for their continued involvement? We'll talk about it. Brad Keselowski, Michigan native. native and third-generation racer, we go home for a visit with one of NASCAR's rising young stars. And fuel mileage, often a deciding factor in these Michigan races. Why and how the chase bubble may factor into those calculations today.
NASCAR Countdown, presented by New Degree Men V12 Special Edition.
Michigan International Speedway is about 70 miles southwest of downtown Detroit, an area dominated by the presence of the traditional Big Three automakers.
When we were having to make cuts in this very difficult economic climate, what we had to do is invest in the assets and the teams that gave us the greatest return, quite frankly. So we really focused on the Hendrick teams and Stuart Haas, as well as Richard Childress.
The Sprint Cup Series, again, being the premier series, we want to make sure that we're fully competitive there. So when we put our budgets together, we really budgeted that from not only a technical perspective, but a financial perspective to ensure our teams could be championship capable.
Racing, you know, it's been a part of Chevy's history since our founder, who was a racer, Louis Chevrolet. So it's part of our DNA, and we think it's really important to be both in the Nationwide and the Sprint Cup. And really what it comes down to is the fact that we sell cars and trucks with it.
What you're really doing is you're courting, you know, the next potential customer, and you want to keep putting, you know, the great things that Ford Motor Company is doing, whether it's on the track or off the track, in front of them. NASCAR is one of our best returning platforms, partly because people who go to races, they love cars and they buy cars, and they're 3 times more likely than non-fans to purchase products that are supported by manufacturers.
Comments from officials of General Motors and Ford on what the future holds for their involvement in NASCAR racing. Dodge officials declined our request for advance comment on this story. Certainly Ford and Chevrolet have enjoyed their share of success here at their home track, and so has Dodge, given the relatively few number of starts they've had. Thus far, Toyota has not cracked victory lane here in Michigan. Before each of these Michigan races, drivers of makes based in Detroit often visit the headquarters and factories of their respective brands. Earlier this week, Brad Keselowski, a Chevy driver, at the Lake Orion, Michigan GM plant, where they assemble Chevy Malibus and Pontiac G6s. I didn't know drivers still worked on cars anymore, but apparently they do. And Brad meeting with some of the auto workers there earlier in the week. And joining us now in the pit studio, 8-time champion team owner Rick Hendrick, who can offer a unique perspective on the role of the Big Three automakers in NASCAR, because he's a champion NASCAR team owner with a deal with a manufacturer, and he's also in the business of selling new cars. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Great to be here.
With your team owner's hat on first, the events of the past 12 months for General Motors, how has it affected your race team's relationship with GM?
Well, number one, our relationship couldn't be any stronger than it is, and they've had to make some cutbacks, but, you know, the teams have had to make cutbacks too. So the part that really plays the most important piece to us, the technical support's still there, and we work with those guys every day. And you know that our Chevy business is goods in the automobile side, so we look for Chevy to be here forever in the sport. And you know, we all have had to make adjustments, so I don't think it was any surprise to anyone that they were going to have to make some adjustments in our sport.
Rick, with GM cutting back on how much money they're actually giving to the race teams, what's your teams doing to compensate for that?
Well, you know, you try to be prepared for a rainy day, but you know, you look for other sponsors and you just try to cultivate deals. I've taken a lot of lessons from Ray Evernham. You know, he always tries to keep some in the hopper. But no, we have a lot of support from a lot of different sponsors that are not on the car. We have a lot of technology support, and our guys are always out there looking. So again, when you go through the type of recession that our country has seen, you know, you just kind of have to tighten your belt and you look at what you're spending and you say, okay, this was a luxury once upon a time, but now we can do without that. Let's focus on what makes the team good and you know, produce on Sunday. And some of the things that maybe we were doing were a luxury, we just eliminate.
It's pretty pitiful when you got to get your old buddy on live TV to come and sit next to me. Where's my sandwich? Yeah. Hey, you know,
it's been about 2 years, I promise you.
It's been a while. And speaking of 2 years ago, we had a conversation. You helped me a great deal, but you told me this was coming, and you said it was going to manufacturer issue was going to affect racing. What's your crystal ball telling you where we're going to be 2 years from now, Rick?
Well, number one, I think you know, this sport is strong, and the addition of Toyota has been good for us. And you know, I can remember when it was just 2 makes here, so having 4 you know, it's good. It's helped all the teams that spread the support to some teams that weren't getting any help. So I think the sport is in great shape. I think this double wide restarts, a double file restarts, triple wide, I think is Brad. Is what but as a car owner, I don't like that at all. But as a fan, you know, it's exciting. It gives everybody an opportunity. So I think, you know, these little town hall meetings we're having with NASCAR, where the drivers and owners and NASCAR are talking, trying to look at ways to support the fans more, and we're all in this together. And I feel extremely good about our sport. I think we're stronger than ever, and I think that the competition is really good, and I see our sport being super strong. I think the economy's picking back up now, and I think we've made it through the darkest days.
Well, speaking of the economy, and as you look at NASCAR, how important is the NASCAR platform to your business and what you do?
Well, you know, I've raced Chevrolets all of my career, and the fans, you see them in the stands, and they wear a bow tie, they wear the Ford emblem, some now with TRD or the Dodge logo, and they are fans of the franchise. I mean, they pull for the manufacturer. They may pick a driver in that bunch, but there are a lot of loyal people, and this race on Sunday, win on Sunday, sell on Monday, absolutely works. I can run ads in the paper, and I may have 200 or 300 people show up. I can take these 4 race cars to one of the dealerships and promote it and have, you know, a live sports show there, and 5,000 people come through. So they're very loyal. They like the product. It's a competition thing. You see the logos on their cars and trucks, and you know, we showcase a lot of new technology here, and you see the Camaro show up at Daytona, and the phones just are flooded with people wanting to get the car. So this is a great marketing tool for the manufacturers, and as a dealer, I don't think we want to live without it. I think the dealers have seen how well it works for them driving traffic to the showroom.
You know, when I said that 900 horsepower earlier, you know who I was talking about. You know who I was talking about now, don't you?
I know who doesn't have the 900 horsepower. I don't know who has it.
Rick, we appreciate your perspective on the interaction with the manufacturers and racing, and thank you for your time.
I got your sandwich coming.
8-time champion team owner Rick Hendrick here with us at the pit studio at Michigan. Now, as important as this race is to the Detroit Big Three, it's also huge to Jack Roush. Roush Industries, Jack's company, is in Livonia, Michigan, just outside Detroit, so this is Jack's home track, and his cars have won here 20 times, including at least one Sprint Cup win in the last 7 straight years. Jack and one of his drivers are with Shannon Spake.
What an impressive record here at this racetrack for Roush Fenway and Jack Roush. You have described this track as ideal and great. We know it puts on some great races, but why does this track mean so much to you?
Well, first of all, it's the first Speedway I ever attended. I came here in '65 or '66 and watched the Champ Cars run. But in the meantime, Mark Martin, you know, when we started our Sprint Cup competition in 1988, he had great success here early. It's a place where you can run 3 wide. It's a place where you can, if you've got good speed in your engine and you've got good handling on your car, you can come back from a deficit here.
Speed. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's a great place to be, and it's my backyard.
Speed and handling in his backyard. You came close to winning here in June, Greg. What did you learn from that race, running out of fuel, that you think will be most beneficial here today?
Well, I mean, you know, obviously track position. You know, we ran up front most of the day, and any race can come down to fuel mileage. It just depends on when the last caution falls, and you know, we had a good handling car that day. Made the right calls on pit road. I hope it doesn't come down to that again, or at least me leading with half a lap to go, but and running out of gas. I'm leading, and you know, we have a good car for today. The guys did a good job. We'll just have to have a good day on pit road and keep our track position.
Jack Roush looking for his 21st overall win here at this racetrack today. Greg Biffle rolls off 17th.
Shannon, thank you. Something else that's a Detroit August tradition besides this race weekend, the Woodward Dream Cruise, whose 2009 run was yesterday. How about 40,000 street rods?
Rusty's hot rod. Rusty, there you go. Hot rod. Hey, buddy, that's my hot rod right there. That's a good-looking one. Look at that car right there. That's cool.
Oh, 38 Ford there sitting there. That's a good-looking hot rod.
Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell tonight at 8 Eastern here on ESPN. Ryan Howard and the Philadelphia Phillies take on their division rivals, the Braves, led by Chipper Jones. Then on Monday Night Baseball presented by Holiday Inn, that's on ESPN 2 at 10 Eastern. It's the Cardinals heading to Los Angeles to take on the Dodgers. ESPN News shown in St. Louis and Los Angeles. Major League Baseball on ESPN and ESPN 360 for more. Log on to ESPN.com. Yesterday here at Michigan, an exciting finish to the NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Brian Vickers in the 32, Kyle Busch in the 18 think they're racing for the win, but somebody else is coming to play.
Guess who's coming to dinner, baby, Brian? I'll tell you what, Vickers had a super fast race car. He's really loose. He tries to block Kyle, and Brad Keselowski sneaks in the side door on these boys.
Goes by them both on the final lap to score a huge win for him at his home track. Brad visited his hometown this week and took us with him on the visit.
I would say I come to Detroit from the Rochester area about once a month. And usually when I do, I always come here to eat. I want a taco. And we got a taco and a brat. You're not going to take like the eating shot, are you? Racing becomes its own world over time. And you kind of get stuck in it and you don't think about anything else. So when I come home, it keeps me grounded.
Here comes Keselowski. Oh, yeah. Keselowski will come down and take the checkered flag.
It's awesome. This is it. This is what I've been dreaming of my whole life.
Well, I really got started with my family. My family owned race teams while I was a kid, and as a driver, I got started in quarter midgets.
Racing here in Waterford, probably the most fun I've ever had racing. There was one time that I remember specifically where I was running second and I bumped the guy in front of me and spun him out and won the race.
Brad's never been one to get pushed around too much, trust me, I know. So when push comes to shove, Brad will shove right back.
You learn a lot of the values of what it means to be a race car driver at places like this and growing up around it.
Early on in my career, my dad basically taught me and critiqued me on everything I did and then kind of funded me.
Used to help my dad out. I got pictures of me and Brad sitting on the back of a trailer helping him stagger race tires, you know. So, I mean, we started real early.
I never really pushed it on them, but I guess I did because I exposed them to it night and day. But they pretty much wanted to be racers.
This is Cattle Motor Motorsports. This is my family's business when I was growing up. In 2006, my family's team went bankrupt. And in a sense, my own failure. I felt like this was supposed to be my family's legacy and like I was supposed to carry it on. This wasn't good enough to do it. It was a large transition for me from this reputation I had as the boss's kid, maybe a spoiled brat, to making it in the real world. It was probably the catalyst to get me where I'm at now because I really didn't have the work ethic or the drive beforehand to make it at this level.
Running that Nationwide car for Keith Coleman exposed him to junior motorsports.
We just kind of struck up a personal relationship after that. And then he started following me and see what I was doing. And a few months down the road, I had a little more success, and he thought I'd be a good candidate to take over his car.
The 88 goes by and takes the lead.
Brad Keselowski been running with these guys toe-to-toe week in and week out.
It's unique in this sport right now for a driver to be from Michigan. And when you think about all the sponsors and corporations that are from the Detroit area that participate in stock car racing, it's really humbling. I feel like in a way I'm carrying some of the weight of the sport on my shoulders being from this area, but I also enjoy it. Racing with your family means a lot to me.
Family is everything, especially for us, I mean, right from the ground up.
Because you have somebody to fall back to and someone to talk to when you're struggling or just when you need to get something off your shoulders, they're there for you.
First-time winner, Brad Keselowski.
Now, Kay, weren't you supposed to be spotting for your other son tonight, not up here cheering?
Yeah, well, that didn't quite work out, so, you know, I'll take this.
What is this like?
Oh, my God, it's amazing. It's amazing.
It is my proudest moment to see him grow into the person that he is. I admire him beyond words. I truly do.
Tell you what, that was a cool piece. That was really, that's true short track racers out of Michigan. That family making it to the big times. Here the kids win a lot of races right now. He's on everybody's radar. That was, I enjoyed watching that. It was nice.
That's a great piece. I'm a huge Bob Keselowski fan. Raced against him in trucks back in the mid-'90s with my truck team. But I talked to Bob and Brian, his brother, about Brad, and I said, what's the biggest change you've seen in him over this last 2 years of his career? Both of them say it's confidence. He has the confidence to get the job done. And Bob says that's the most important thing.
And great story. Our sport is still the only professional sport where the whole family can be involved, so it's great to see a family doing that and having some success.
Now, a lot of speculation about where Brad Keselowski is going to be racing in 2010.
I think Brad Keselowski is going to be in the Cup Series. He is a very talented young man. He is a hot commodity right now. Even though the folks at Hendrick want him to stay in a nationwide car for one more season, try to win that championship, Brad's ready to go Cup racing. Somebody needs to put him in a Cup car.
He needs to be patient. If Rick Hendrick is telling him to be patient, if he's going to go Cup racing, he needs to be in a Hendrick car.
That's a good point. 900 horsepower.
Brad starts in 12th position today in the Hendrick 25. Now, our J-Ski news and notes. NASCAR President Mike Helton saying here this weekend, no major changes planned to the Sprint Cup car for next year, though weight distribution may be addressed. NASCAR also said there would likely continue to be limitations on testing next season, a rule intended to contain costs for teams. And the Richard Petty Motorsports 43 and 44 cars have essentially swapped crews and crew chiefs this week. Reed Sorensen and A.J. Allmendinger, the drivers involved. Speaking of Richard Petty Motorsports, Casey Kane drives their 9 car from 8th in points today and was supposed to start 10th, Vince. He's got a little bit more work to do.
That's exactly right. Casey Kane's team had an engine issue throughout the weekend, so they're going to start from the back of the field today. But he's been on a nice roll especially after winning Infineon. You guys have gotten things going. 8th in points. That's kind of at that thin line between comfortable and concern in regards to the chase. Which side of that line are you on?
We're definitely concerned a little bit. We need to keep our eye on that and get all the points we can get. Seems like we're on this little spot every year, you know. We're always right on the edge, but our Budweiser team's doing a good job. We've had good fast race cars, and we'll have to come from the back today, but Tony Stewart can do it, so hopefully we can. We'll see.
Keep an eye on the 9 car today. Casey Kane coming from the back, guys.
All right, Vince, thank you. We will see how Casey makes out when the green flag waves in the Irish Hills of Michigan.
Beautiful place, boy, I tell you. Look at that beautiful green meadows, little cool water, and a whole lot of racing, baby.
And a lot of good food, too. We're coming back. NASCAR Countdown presented by Degree V12. 400 miles at the Michigan International Speedway on the docket for today. Now, winning these Michigan races, or any other race through the years, isn't always about just going as fast as you can. Sometimes it's about going as far as you can on a gallon of gas.
Go, 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 go. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3, go, 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 go.
Can they go the rest of the way with the fuel they've got in their tanks?
Will he make it?
Yes, he will.
Strategy on gasoline does not pay off.
But we're good to go on fuel here.
We should be good on fuel here.
Just gasoline. And Richard Petty continues to lead. Saving some fuel. Save fuel.
And Earnhardt is coming in. Absolutely out of gas.
This is going to cost Dale Earnhardt the race.
Wow, you wonder if he got enough fuel in that car.
2 laps to go.
Murray's out.
Out of fuel, Pat.
Crew chiefs are on the firing line, but that's part of the business. You know it when you take the job, so it's just part of the job.
How close are we? Real. Your fuel here, because the guys are running out. We can make it. They just shortened the race, 2:10.
He's still got to cross the finish line, right, Biffle?
He still has to get back there.
I didn't know he was running out of gas, and I realized, I think he's out of gas. I'm going to tell you what, he didn't win the race. I mean, you got to maintain speed.
It sputtered a little bit. I sped up a little bit, shut it off, and coasted.
You know, fuel mileage is a big deal. It really is. And there's a lot of people playing that card often this year.
Save fuel. Save fuel. Can we make it? We are really, really close. I'll take care of it.
Tony Stewart is turning the engine off, and he's coasting the car to turn 1. Tony Stewart has won.
Make me look like a damn genius in here. You are a genius, dude. We don't tell you how to save fuel.
He probably run out of gas.
About 3.5, 4 seconds to get enough fuel in.
They will just put a little bit of gas in the car.
So now is Gant the leader?
He is now.
Yep. And there it is. Gant wins.
Save fuel here so you go hard. About saving every ounce of fuel you can save. Don't be close, I promise you. I don't know what your damn fuel deal is, how much you've been saving, but this racing. If we lose, we lose. You are the winner. I'm out of gas! How bad are we off on gas? About 2 right now. Man, I'd love to win, but I don't want to run out. We need points bad.
The fastest car maybe wins 25% of these races. It doesn't happen that often. And somebody makes a decision that ends up being a little better than the fast guy.
New leader, Jimmy Johnson.
Johnson's off the throttle. He may be out of fuel.
Biffle around the outside lane. Can he make it home? Biffle's out of gas. Martin takes the lead in turn number 3. We got her, baby. I can't believe we won. It was out, baby. It ran out.
good thing we were just conservative today.
Well, that June Michigan finish involved a couple of guys, Mark Martin and Greg Biffle, who enter this race on the bubble where making the championship is concerned. The top 12 make NASCAR's chase, but with just 4 races left until the cutoff, those drivers near 12th spot have something else to consider when deciding how much to gamble on fuel today. Mark Martin starts on the front row, Dave.
And of course, Alan, we saw in that feature that Mark won on mileage here in June. Mark, how much would you rather that not be into the equation, given where you are in the points and, you know, just to race for the win?
We just need to race. You know, if we can just finish where we're running, then we're going to be in good shape. We've got great race cars and a great race team. But, you know, that's what makes this racing, you know, so interesting. You never know what's going to happen. So we'll go out here and we'll make a run for it. The car's strong, and we'll see how it turns out.
And something tells me, Jamie, he didn't forget how to save fuel from the June race.
I'm sure he didn't. And, you know, Ryan Newman's one of those guys. He's anything but secure in the points right now, 9th. Your car started out great, fastest in first practice, Ryan, and something major happened in happy hour. How confident are you in getting this car back up to speed?
It wasn't really major. It's just kind of a situational thing, getting off a little bit on tires. And the Haas Automation Chevrolet did still feel pretty good, and we just try to get faster. I mean, you get to a point where you're pretty good and you want to get to that next little step. We're struggling there a little bit, but feel confident the car's going to be fast today.
All right, Ryan Newman, since his win in 2004, he hasn't had a top 10, but perhaps starting 7th today will help things out. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. Let's talk about how this chase bubble thing in Michigan's history of fuel mileage may play in today.
Well, it's definitely going to play into it. There will be a fuel mileage discussion throughout the day with these teams. There's no doubt about that. But you know what? Those guys that are in the chase right now, they got to be looking in their rearview mirror the whole time. Be a little conservative. They got to drive hard, but they got to be a little conservative. The guys out of the chase, that's the position I like. They get to drive hard, hammer down, not think about nothing except those guys in the front. They want to run down and catch. I like watching that style of racing, guys.
Yeah, you're right. I talked to Alan Gustafson and Drew Blickensderfer, the crew chiefs on the cars that currently sit 11th and 12th in the chase, and both of the guys they echo the same sentiment. They can't do anything goofy on their strategies. They have to pit in sequence, and whatever the leaders do or the cars around them do, they got to do the same thing. Can't take any chances today.
So I said to Ray, we're going to talk about fuel mileage on the show. He went out this morning and said, all right, if I'm a crew chief of one of these cars, what am I going to do race morning? You broke some numbers down. What should we be watching for?
Well, Alan, there's 2 ways to do it. You've got to come up with your fuel window. You start from 0 with what you think your car is laps per tank and add up. You start at 200 and back down. The difference between those 2 numbers is your fuel window. If it's green, how far can I go? If it's yellow, how soon can I pit? I think you're going to see guys being able to pit around lap 18 to 20 and still make it on 3 more stops. It's going to be a 4-stop race. I think you're going to see guys gambling around lap 15 if a caution comes out.
And Rusty just doesn't want to see that at all.
I hate, man. I'm thinking, I'll listen to all this stuff, but I hate fuel mileage racing. Just hammer down. Let's run hard. Heck all that junk.
Air them out.
All right.
Let's go. Air it out, yeah.
We'll see how it unfolds as the day goes on. Rusty's won 5 times here. And Dale Jarrett has won 4 times here in a Sprint Cup car as well. DJ is up in the booth with Andy Petrie, also a winning crew chief here. 1 time on fuel mileage, that Harry Gant clip we saw in the feature. They're both getting ready to go. Hey, why are so many of these Michigan races decided by fuel mileage?
Well, one of the reasons, Alan, might be this car. They've got everybody in such a tight box as far as what they can do and how they can adjust on them. And, you know, it's come down to stretching everything. You stretch the engine, you stretch the driver, you stretch the crews, you stretch the tires, and now they're stretching the fuel tank. So it's just been another way that they have been able to try to beat each other. I mean, it's just an element of the sport, and Michigan brings out a lot of that.
Yeah, it really does. And from a driver's perspective, you just said it, in Michigan, it's a wide racetrack, 2 miles long. You're in the gas for a long time, but whenever it gets down to that time that you have to make that decision, okay, we're going to need to save some fuel. As a driver, what you have to do is roll out of the throttle early, let your car coast, be easy back to the throttle. Those are the things that you can do. You have to resist that temptation to go up there and get the guys in front of you. You have to wait and just be patient till your time to come. So it can be very difficult. It's really not what we want to see. It's not what a driver wants to do, but when you've done it one time, you say, hey, that's pretty cool. That was kind of fun.
I can take a trophy any way I can get it, right?
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy, get some fresh batteries for the calculator. We'll talk to you in a bit.
Okay.
All right, thanks, guys. So the driver, the pit stops, and the preparation all play a role in stretching the fuel. Tim Brewer's in our Craftsman Tech Garage to show us some things that the engine tuners do Sunday morning to balance miles per gallon and miles per hour. Tim?
Alan, we're really going to lean on our engine tuner this week at Michigan because we've got to have the spark plugs burning just perfect. The ignition timing, that's one of the things we can retard the timing or advance it and manipulate the fuel mileage just a little bit. But the other thing, we're actually going to have the primary accelerator pump, and we're going to leave it operational because we need that pump to squirt the fuel in the carburetor to get on and off pit road. But the secondary pump, we're going to remove this arm. By eliminating the pump, the accelerator arm, we're going to save just a few ounces of fuel. That might be the difference between going into turn 3 on the last lap wide open, running out of fuel, and not getting to the finish line under full power.
All right, Tim, thank you. We'll talk about the bubble drivers in the race to the chase a lot through today's event. Kyle Busch, 13th in points, but he's got a long way to go today.
Well, he does. He starts 39th. He's only 58 points out of 12. He's going to feel the heat today.
Juan Pablo Montoya starting 3rd.
Montoya's been running really strong. I wouldn't be surprised to see him at the victory lane at the end of the day.
And Matt Kenseth on the bubble spot, 12th in points. He starts 25th today. Tony Stewart has 3 wins already this season. He started last in a backup car and won at Pocono in June.
Boy, he came out and put it on him, destroyed his car he won there last time with, still put it on.
And that was a fuel mileage race. He stretched the fuel to the finish. We were just talking about that. Then he came out on top of the wild finish with Kyle Busch in the Daytona race.
Oh, man, take a look at this wreck. Kyle Busch just claims the wall, and Tony Stewart just drives right on through to win another one. What a heck of a race that one was.
And his 3rd win of this year came Monday at Watkins Glen.
That's right, and he put it on him, and guess who picked him to win? The whole round table there, buddy.
That's right. Hey, we didn't look too good for that one, did we?
So Tony Stewart can clinch his place in the chase for the Sprint Cup just by starting this race. Jimmy Johnson could clinch a place if he ends the race leading 13th spot by 586 points or more. You see he's up 496 starting the day. So for those drivers, this race and the remaining 3 between here and Richmond are all about winning, since the top 12 will be reseeded based on the number of wins for the 10-race run to the championship. Tony Stewart starts 18th today, Vince.
That's right, and you certainly get those bonus points for an extra win, so Tony Stewart certainly has his eye on that. But what does being in the chase and knowing you're going to be in allow you to do maybe a little bit differently on a race weekend, and in particular on race day?
Well, I mean, Michigan's a track where fuel mileage comes into play quite a bit. So today it gives us the flexibility that, you know, if we have to take a chance on winning a race because of fuel mileage, we have that flexibility to do it. But you know, other than that, you got to do what got you here. And I'm proud of everybody at Stewart-Haas Racing and everybody on our Old Spice Office Depot team. They've done just a great job this year. It's come out of the box like we have and get ourselves in a position where we're locked in today is something that I'm like a proud father with. I mean, I'm really, really proud of our guys and proud of everybody at Hendrick Chassis and Motors too.
When you won this race, you started 28th. Today you start 18th. Do you have a car that's, you think, good enough to win this race?
Well, we had a little bit of a hiccup at the end of happy hour yesterday, but, you know, I got the secret weapon is I got Jeff Mendering as a car chief and Darren Grubb as a crew chief there. So if anybody's going to get us back on track today, it's those 2 guys. And, you know, we got a great pit crew that'll get us spots on pit road too. So I don't know how we're going to be at the beginning of the race, but I think we'll be pretty good at the end.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch the 14 work on it today, Alan.
All right, Vince, thanks. Michigan is just one of 6 tracks that Jimmy Johnson hasn't scored a victory on yet. He almost did in June.
Oh, got so close, but look at that. I mean, talk about a tough day. Out of gas, last lap, loses the race.
Leading.
Terrible.
There's a finish line. Oh.
Jimmy ends at 22nd on that race. He starts 4th today. Shannon, can he win?
Well, Jimmy Johnson led 146 laps in June. Of course, we just saw on the video that you ran out of fuel, but dominant race car. We saw your crew chief, Chad Knaus, this weekend working furiously on that 48. What kind of car do you think you'll have for the start of this race?
I think we're going to be good. We tried some different things and found some stuff that worked, some that didn't work. So it was a lot of work by the Lowe's team to get the car just right, and we found what we needed at the end of practice yesterday. So I'm hopeful to have a car that drives as well as we had in the spring, but another gallon of gas so that we can get to the finish line. One other thing I just want to point out is, you know, my thoughts and prayers to Tom Murphy's family. He was a great friend of the sport. You know, the Sprint family does so much for what we do, and just a tragic loss to lose him this week. So, you know, we'll go out there and race and just want his family to know we're thinking of him.
Yeah, certainly everybody thinking about him here at the racetrack this weekend. You could clinch a chase berth here today. Is there any reason to think that you guys would not be willing to gamble in not only this race, but the next 3 after this?
Well, and if you have the opportunity, yeah, we'll go for it. And I think the spring race is a good example of that. We felt like we were to the good on fuel, and that's why I pushed so hard to try to get the lead back and ran out. And if we're in that situation again, we're going to go for it. But there's a small window of opportunity to really gamble, and if it presents itself, we're going to go for it.
Jimmy Johnson had the dominant car here in June. He rolls out 4th today.
And Tom Murphy mentioned there, he was the vice president of corporate marketing for Sprint, who passed away Friday after an automobile accident while vacationing with his family. He was just 45 years old. Certainly we echo those condolences to the family of Tom Murphy. Now let's talk some more about Jimmy, Tony, the top two. Certainly for this race now, it's all about winning, right?
It's all about winning, and it's really cool because now they have no pressure on them to speak of. They can just go out there, stand on the gas, run as hard as they want, and take chances. And one thing I like about that position also, it gives them the opportunity right now to try some brand new things that they might not have the nerve to do early in the year. But with NASCAR taking all the testing away right now, they can go out there and try some things that might help them at the end of the year also.
Hey, but I'm going to tell you, there's a race within a race. Don't forget about Mark Martin. That top seed deal, those guys with the most wins, they want that. Mark wants it, Jimmy wants it, Tony wants it. Those are the guys that have a shot at it. The #1 spot in that chase, they're going to be racing for today.
We talked about the top two, Tony and Jimmy. Let's talk about some of the bubble guys. We talked about the bubble guys, too, down the bottom. Let's talk about the middle guys. You got Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards. They feeling set or not?
Well, now Carl Edwards is a good buddy. I like Carl a lot. And he was saying yesterday that he is very happy with his year. But I'm calling horse hockey on it, Carl. Come on, man.
What?
I'm calling horse hockey on it because Carl won 9 races last year, and he has yet to get to victory lane. And I think for his confidence mentally, just like Denny Hamlin, who was having a good season but had not won a race, it just doesn't give him the confidence to go into the chase and win. Horse hockey.
Isn't that polo?
Horse hockey.
Hey, is that kind of like when people used to ask me, hey, how's your car? And I'd tell them, oh, it's great. Really, when it sucks? Is that the same as horse hockey?
Same thing.
Okay, same thing. All right.
We learned some new things here. Somebody bailed me out of this. Denny Hamlin is with who? Dave?
Yep, and he is checking in with teammate Kyle Busch just before the start of this thing. Denny, you guys are good to the chase right now, but not a lock. How much closer can the 11 car get today?
We keep, I think we got 220, 230 to the good. If we can stay 200 with about 3 to go, that's going to be a fairly comfortable place for us, but anything can happen. So we're going to just, race to win and see what happens from there. We're not going to points race right now. We're not going to take a conservative approach. If we can win today, we're going to do it.
You and I were looking at this track while we were riding around here. What's it going to be like to drive this thing today?
It is going to be very slippery. There's going to be a lot of guys complaining about how bad their cars are. And I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a couple guys hit it and really take off from everyone else. But we know the restarts, so we'll put them all right back to us.
Sometimes complaining is communication that can work, guys.
All right, Dave, thank you. Denny Hamlin starting 16th today. Let's talk about a few other drivers getting ready to go. Bill Elliott, 7-time Michigan winner, driving for the Wood Brothers, 11-time Michigan winners. He starts 9th. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. making his 350th Cup start today.
Boy, I'd love to see Junebug get that thing in victory lane. Come on, Junior.
And our in-race reporter Kurt Busch, 2-time winner here, starts 6th. Go to ESPN.com's NASCAR page. Click on Ask the Driver if you'd like to suggest a question for our in-race reporter.
Irish Hill Antiques. That's where they put Rusty's race car.
Oh!
NASCAR Countdown, presented by New Degree Men V12 Special Edition.
As a fan, you get to sit back and watch these cats spread out 3, 4, sometimes 5 wide.
Just the speed that you carry through those corners. It's a lot of fun racing at Michigan.
When you come off that turn 4 wide open, that baby slip and slide, you need that room so you don't hit somebody.
You run right up next to the wall. You can run down the bottom. It's short distance or keeping up your speed, and it gives the driver a lot of options.
It's risky. It looked to me like, you couldn't put a piece of paper between those two cars.
It's super fast, and obviously if something happens and you're in trouble.
It's never just a straightforward race, so it's always throws curveballs. That's what makes it so fun to race there.
Well, Jeff Gordon has had more fun than anyone twice here at Michigan, 1998, 2001. How about that 98 win, Ray?
Yeah, buddy, look at that air dam up there, about 1 inch and 16 sway bar, I think.
That's the way it's supposed to be, man. That was good racing back then.
Look at them sunglasses. Yeah. Somebody was watching Tom Cruise.
Well, Jeff could use another win today for that chase reseed, Jamie.
Well, it has been a while since he won here, but nonetheless, he is a two-time winner. Jeff, after last week, of course, we're all seeing the highlights of last week. How do you prepare yourself physically, mentally for this hot 400 miles?
Well, this is a totally different situation than last week. You know, get off the road course and come here to a big, fast oval. I mean, just such big corners. It's going to be hot and slick. It looks like we got some cloud cover now, so that can change things a little bit as well. But I'm really proud of the DuPont Chevrolet team. They've been really well prepared this weekend. We brought a little bit newer car, and you know, there's been some real signs that this car has what it takes to, or has, you know, what it needs to win. So we didn't qualify as good as we want to, but I feel like we're going to be able to work our way up through the field. We've won 2 races here, but we've always been really strong at Michigan. It's one of our better tracks, one of my favorite tracks. So I'm looking forward to getting the green flag, see what we've got. You know, we've got 4 races until this chase starts. It's all about getting that championship, and that's what's on our mind.
All right, Jeff Gordon's got a smile on his face. He's feeling all right physically. He'll roll off 21st. Alan?
Jamie, thanks. A year ago, it was Carl Edwards who won this race. He was first off pit road on a stop with 19 to go. Then passed 2 cars who didn't pit, David Reagan and Brian Vickers, for that win. He started 27th last year. He starts 32nd in this one, Vince.
Roush Fenway has had so much success here over the years, but Carl Edwards got his work cut out for him today, coming back from 32nd. You feel good about the race car that you have under you today?
Yeah, I definitely feel good. You know, this Aflac Fusion was fast in both of the final practices, and even better than that, Bob told me this morning that we had some things that we didn't have quite right on it, and he thinks it's going to be faster. So my hopes are high, and big thing is just to have a good solid run here for Ford and for Aflac and for all these Roush Fenway folks that are here at the track here in Michigan. It's a real special place to perform well for us.
Carl Edwards hopes to get his 3rd Michigan win here today. Alan?
All right, Vince, thanks. So let's talk about, you heard a couple references to the weather, its effect on this race. The forecast for today is for temperatures to be in the high 80s. And I'm telling you, I checked the hour-by-hour forecast, and at most there's a 10% chance of showers throughout this day. Yet we see some clouds rolling in. After the last 2 Sundays, all bets are off as far as I'm concerned. But a hot race on this track. What's it like for the crew chief? What's it like for the driver?
For the driver, it's going to be a real loose racetrack, that's for sure. They're going to be slipping and sliding pretty all over the racetrack, that's for sure. You'll see the high line of turn 4 really come in. You'll see a lot of guys down in the bottom of turn 1 and 2. They'll be trying to work that bottom line pretty good. But also, I really think the top side of turn 4 is what to look at for slipping and sliding. But overall, loss of grip.
Staying after tire pressure all day as a crew chief, because everybody's going to be going up top slide, and you want to try and get your car to run on the bottom because there's going to be nobody down there.
You know, it's a slick racetrack. Kurt Busch says as the more rubber lays down on this racetrack, it gets slicker and slicker. It's interesting.
Antique race car. I just found out you're supposed to ride the airport with him. You better be careful with those lines. Get set to turn loose in Michigan. You're watching NASCAR Countdown presented by Degree V12. The Michigan International Speedway hosting NASCAR Sprint Cup Series races since 1969. A driver and fan favorite for some 41 years now. 43 drivers ready to race on a beautiful summer afternoon thus far, with 1 to celebrate in victory lane after 400 miles. So after 2 consecutive Sundays of rain, it looks like the 3rd time's the charm. Martin Truex Jr. had a good qualifying run.
He qualified good. 5th right there. I think he needs a good run. I think these guys can run good at this racetrack. He likes it.
How about a top 10 start for Joey Logano?
Great start for this kid. This kid has really come on a great deal as he goes to these tracks for the 2nd time around. I think we'll see more top 10 starts and finishes out of him.
Really showing his talent. That this young man has done a great job in this race car this year, doing a super job.
So time for today's opening ceremony, which will include a moment of silence in memory of Tom Murphy, the executive from Sprint who passed away Friday in that automobile accident. And again, our condolences to his family. Let's go trackside for the opening ceremony.
Race fans, please remain standing as we pause for a moment of silence to remember a member of the NASCAR family, Tom Murphy of Sprint. Presenting colors this afternoon, the Lenawee County Sheriff's Department Honor Guard. And delivering this afternoon's invocation, Billy Malden from Motor Racing Outreach.
Gracious God and Heavenly Father, we humbly pause to give you thanks for this beautiful day and the opportunity to enjoy this racing. We pray for all the competitors, officials, all throughout this place, Lord. We just ask for a safe day for all that are involved. We remember those that are serving our country, both at home and abroad. We ask you to protect over, watch them as they guard our faith, our family, and our freedom. I humbly ask all these things in Christ's name. Amen.
And now for our national anthem, please welcome RCA Nashville recording artist Chris Young.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
The home of the brave. Final words of the national anthem. And now today, NASCAR racing in the home of the Detroit Big Three automakers. Toyota's never won at this track. Chevy, Ford, and Dodge teams would sure like to keep that from happening today. Just one small part of the picture as the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series goes racing in Michigan.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Carfax 400 at Michigan International Speedway is presented by Carfax and in part by Radio Shack. Come to the Shack. Find the right products at the right price. Radio Shack.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series continues today with the Carfax 400 from the 2-mile Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan.
Let's have a good day. All right, get the top 10 on 3. 1, 2, 3. Top 10! Woo! Woo!
So as the drivers get buckled in, the teams are getting ready to go. And let's talk about two of NASCAR's power teams who figure to be among the favorites today. Shannon Spake.
Well, Alan, one of those teams is Hendrick Motorsports. There are 8 cars on the track today who rely on Hendrick's engines or support for their program. 5 of those teams have been to victory lane this season. Hendrick Motorsports has also dominated here at Michigan as of late, winning 2 of the last 3 races, including Mark Martin's fuel mileage win back in June. Add in the fact that 2 Hendrick-supported teams, Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson, could clinch a chase berth here today. It gives them a little bit more security and a little bit more gambling power. Jamie?
Well, Shannon, Michigan International Speedway may have been built by Roger Penske, but when it comes to success, it's all about Jack Roush. He has 11 Sprint Cup wins here at Michigan, including at least 1 in the last 7 straight years. If they want to continue that trend, though, all 5 of his drivers have their work cut out for him. They qualified from mid to the back of the pack. But if history repeats itself, we'll probably see a Roush Fenway driver in victory lane at the end of the day, and perhaps they'll even solidify 3 drivers in the top 12. Alan?
So inside of a minute to firing the engines. Last Sunday, when we were inside of 10 seconds to firing the engines, they had to put a hold on it because of a lightning storm that pounded down around the racetrack. Again, just a 10% chance of a shower today. We're watching the radar. There are a couple of scattered things out there, but we're hoping for a dry and clean 400 miles.
Matt Kenseth, who's in 12th position, is hoping for a dry and clean run, too. He needs to hold that 12th position. There is definitely a battle to get in this chase position. You see Kyle Busch is trying to get in, and Kenseth's trying to hold on.
All right, so how will the fuel mileage play out? Will it affect the race for the chase? All those stories and more to unfold right after those famous words are spoken down trackside to get this field of 43 fired up and get them out onto the track to start today's 400-miler at Michigan.
And now, race fans, it's time for the most famous words in motorsports. To give the command, your Grand Marshals, Jordan and Jacob Vanderstel.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
But we'll start really watching it once we get closer to halfway. All right. Okay, but yeah, we got them. I got both you guys. They're cold. Yeah, 10-4. They just gave me a command. I don't think you read heard it. Got a copy. Sound good. I got you. What was that, Keith? Said that. We got
People think about saving fuel so much in these races. I thought I heard a few engines not start right away when they gave that command. That's happened before.
Yeah.
All right, so if you want to pick a winner today, perhaps you should go with somebody who's already won, since only one man ever managed to score his first win at this racetrack, and that's Dale Jarrett, who's upstairs ready to go alongside Andy Petrie and Dr. Jerry Punch. Doc?
Thank you very much, Alan, and hello, everyone. Glad to have you with us here today at Michigan. You know, qualifying is not always an accurate indicator of how well a team will run on race day. But, folks, none of the 5 Roush Fenway cars are starting today in the top 15. In fact, the 3 guys that are in the chase weren't even in the top 10 in final practice session. Guys, how concerned should they be?
Well, I think, you know, everybody wants to have a fast race car, and on Fridays, sometimes it just doesn't work out like that. And I think the Roush organization is one of those that says, okay, we'll take what we can get. We're going to get our cars handling for the race, and these guys really work hard on that. I think Carl Edwards and these guys will be able to come from the back. They know they have a big, wide racetrack that allows itself to pass, or allows them to pass, and make some fuel decisions, too, as the day goes on.
If you're a fan of the Roush drivers, don't worry at all. They're going to be fine, because qualifying is really such a different animal than racing. You do a whole different setup. I mean, just the fact that they have to start in the back is a little bit of a disadvantage, but they're going to race well in practice. I wouldn't put punch in that either, because that's just one lap. You got to have a good car on a hot, slick racetrack way deep in the run. So I think the Roush guys are going to be fine today.
Now, the Roush Fenway team has not won a race since back in February at California. It's been a long time, 20 races, but the Richard Childress Racing team has not won a single race in 2009 yet. They have one driver trying to ease in on the chase. For more, here's Vince Welch.
Well, Doc, in the race to the chase, Clint Boyer is currently on the outside looking in. He's 99 points out of a chase position. But Boyer and this 33 team have been gaining ground quickly. They've cut 52 points off that deficit in the last 2 races. If they're to continue that trend, they'll need a solid top 10 today. And crew chief Shane Wilson says he's prepared to gamble on strategy to get it. Dave?
Kyle Busch finished 4th last week at Watkins Glen and gained 43 points toward the chase. He's still 58 points out, which means he needs another strong run here today. Here's the problem. He starts behind 38 other race cars today. That's his worst starting spot since 2005. If he picks up points today, he can make his way toward that chase and get in, but he needs a good run. Last year here, he led 34 laps on his way to a 2nd place finish. Doc?
Thank you, Dave. Kyle Busch, of course, has never won here and has only 2 top 10 finishes the last 10 races on the season. So much pressure. Now, you're Steve Addington, you're crew chief, and you're Kyle Busch. How do you manage this race today?
Well, what I'm going to do with my drivers, I'm going to try to avoid a meltdown. If we don't have a car that's capable of contending for a win or maybe even a top 5 finish, let's just get the best we can out of this. If we leave here and have a meltdown, it could really destroy us from here on to the end of the cutoff for the chase. So really today, let's just try to get us a good finish and get what the car is capable of.
Yeah, and I think as a driver, you have to really give good, solid information early on to let your crew chief be ready to prepare for this racetrack and get your car better as you move forward. You have a wide racetrack. You shouldn't be worried starting back there, because a lot of races have been won from outside the top 30 here. So I wouldn't be real concerned. Just be patient. That's the biggest thing. Be patient. Take what you can get today. Hopefully that's well inside the top 10.
Well, there's one driver who's really turned his year around. It is Kyle Busch's older brother, Kurt Busch, who happens to be our in-race reporter. He sits 6th on the starting grid, driving the Miller Lite Dodge. Let's visit with Kurt.
Hey, Kurt, Dale Jarrett with ESPN. You have a copy?
10-4, DJ.
Hey, Kurt, first question comes from our ESPN mailbag, and Bill in Jackson, Mississippi would like to know, what have you and your team done differently to improve your points position this year versus last year?
Well, I'd have to say we've changed quite a bit of things, whether it's aerodynamics or the engine department, our chassis setup, but mainly just everybody back at the shop working hard and committed to this program. And our sponsors, Miller Lite and Dodge, are real happy, and we're glad we're back up in the top 5 in points.
Well, talk about that points position, Kurt. Does that allow you right now, are you comfortable enough with where you are to just go after wins and those bonus points?
10-4. I feel pushing on 13th. And so right now, yeah, we want to try to win. We got to get by some of these faster guys in front of us. But just running strong each week, that's what Roger, the captain, always says, is put yourself in contention to win, and those wins will start coming.
All right, thanks a lot, Kirk. Thanks for talking with us today. And now Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Pat Tryson.
Hey, Pat, Andy Petrie in the booth. You got us?
Got you, Andy, loud and clear.
Hey, Pat, you know, this track seems to be one of those tracks where you have to really pay attention to that chassis setup. And we saw yesterday in the nationwide race, Brian Vickers had a very good car. Matter of fact, it looked like the winning car. Had to drive the thing sideways. How do you guys set these cars up for the race today?
I think the biggest thing we've seen here in some of these other big tracks is these COTs seem to like to be a little bit free. If you get a little bit tight, you know, it drives a little better, but it's a little bit too slow. So got to keep it pretty free to keep up with those good guys. And hopefully Don't Like Dodge will be a little bit free here when we get started. And hopefully make some passes here and take the lead.
Yeah, Pat, do you expect the track to tighten up as we go on, or do you expect it to stay the same or get looser?
Last time here it tightened up as we went along, and I think that's what I'll do again. Feel like we're getting a couple raindrops. Hopefully that won't be a problem today.
Okay, Pat, thanks again for talking to us, and good luck today.
Daddy.
What did Harry Hogg say in the movie Days of Thunder? Loose is fast, but it's on the edge of out of control.
Out of control.
All right. We'll have onboard cameras in 7 other cars today, including a couple of guys that are closer at the bubble. In the NASCAR Sprint Cup points, Matt Kenseth starting back in 25th position. Clint Bowyer, 23rd. How about Dale Earnhardt Jr.? His last win came here in June of 2008, 43 races ago. And Carl Edwards, you heard it in Countdown, he has not won in 2009. Hard to believe that, I know. After winning 9 times a year ago, he won this race last August. Carrying a camera and microphone going over the wall will be the rear tire changer for Bobby Labonte, Jason Romsberg. Jason out of Bridgeport, West Virginia. He'll be down there where there's really pressure on to perform throughout the afternoon. And as you heard Ray Evernham say, we're probably going to have 4 scheduled pit stops. And so these guys, you don't get many shots on pit road, so you got to be able to make them work when they do come in. Our starting grid, Brian Vickers, 3 consecutive poles at Michigan International Speedway, 6th pole of the year, and beside him the ageless one, Mark Martin. There's Juan Pablo Montoya. And I tell you what, impressive to me, though, was the qualifying effort. Another top 10 qualifying effort by awesome Bill Elliott.
How about Bill Elliott up there? And he practiced well, too. Happy Hour, he was up in the top 10, and they feel pretty good about what they're going to do today.
Yeah, and Juan Montoya up there, a great qualifying effort in his bid trying to get into the chase. Casey Kane qualified in the top 10. He's 10th, but he's going to have to go to the rear because they had an engine problem on Friday.
You heard Alan joking that he didn't hear some of the engines fire. He didn't think when they gave the command. Now, I know fuel mileage is important here, but do you save some fuel now as you're rolling around here on these pace laps?
Well, wait a minute. Is it a command to start engines or a suggestion? I thought they were supposed to start them up.
Yeah, we've done that for a long time. Yeah,
it'll save a little fuel.
Yeah, definitely. You get to places like this, you know, you sit there for a period of time. You're going to have 3 pace laps to get everything warmed up and ready to go, which is plenty of time. So you save that fuel right from there, and you're saving fuel right now before we get ready to start.
Remember back in June, 2 guys ran out of fuel here on the final lap of the race. Jimmy Johnson and Greg Biffle giving the win to Mark Martin, who, by the way, also ran out of fuel coming down after he took the checkered flag. So it's just that close here in Michigan.
Well, it's not likely, but this race could go green all the way, and that's why they would do this now. They would think about trying to save some fuel to try to eliminate a pit stop. Not likely we'll see it today, but it has happened up here before.
Well, it just allows itself to that type of racing because it's so wide and guys can give each other a lot of room. So you're likely not to have. We had a race here, I think it was in '99. They had 1 caution, and you know, you just had to play that strategy.
Now, there are some guys here, I think, actually cutting it on and off here on the pace laps you're talking about. There we go, right there. Now, you saw the 9 car a moment ago. By the way, that there are 3 cars going to the rear of the field. Casey Kane, Mike Skinner, and Dave Blaney, all because of engine changes. You're only allowed 1 engine for the weekend. And you see at the back of the pack there, the 9 car falling in. And here's the good news, though, for Casey Kane. 4 times this year, we've had a NASCAR Sprint Cup race won from the final row.
We'll work together, get this thing dialed in. Friends, family, supporters, everybody that's here with us today, and everybody watching us on TV. Nice to be racing on a Sunday again. Hope you all enjoy the race. Very nice to be here in Detroit with all the GM supporters here in their backyard. Thanks for coming out, everybody. It's good to see all those black and white shirts here.
That's just how important this place is, the Motor City. Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson talking about how much they appreciate the fans here and how important this race is. DJ, I know you drove for Ford all those years. No one had to tell you how important it was for you to get that win for your manufacturer.
No, you knew that coming up here, that this was a huge event. A lot of times you had employee events over at Ford Motor Company. I know GM did a lot the same way. So you knew, you didn't have to be told. You came here with a lot of pride, and you wanted to win for all of those people that put in that hard work to make these cars for us to drive on the highway. So these guys still realize that importance.
You see him rolling around under the pace lap here. You see Brian Vickers on the inside of the front row. They have the choice of whether they start there, pole sitter does, whether he starts on the inside or the outside. We saw Brian yesterday in the Nationwide Series race choose the outside lane a lot on those restarts. It's kind of funny he's chosen the inside on the start here.
I think it had something to do with the horsepower here, the momentum, the lack of horsepower in the Nationwide car yesterday. These have a lot more. I think you'll see more guys trying to run around the bottom as they have fresh tires on.
Pace car pulling away. Tony Stewart will officially clinch a spot in the 2009 chase. The world's best stock car drivers here are getting ready to turn it loose in the Motor City as the green flag waves at Michigan.
Now look at Kurt Busch come on the high side here.
He's got a big run off turn 2.
Big run.
You see Mark Martin racing hard for this first lap. He wants to get these 5 bonus points to help him secure that spot in the chase.
He kind of spun his tires at the start, but Jimmy Johnson was on his bumper pushing him. He couldn't back off. So it kind of helped him get his car straightened out and going.
Chevrolet, Dodge, Toyota, 1, 2, 3. And Mark Martin trying to hold on. He will lead him the first time by. It is Martin, then Busch, then Vickers.
I say if Vickers gets the lead, that's the last time you'll see him restart from the inside. He'll choose the outside lane, I bet, from here on. That momentum really works on the top side of the racetrack. You see Kurt Busch still trying to work the top.
So Sam Horn is trying to hug the bottom of the racetrack. Ray Evernham talking in countdown. He wants to keep his drivers on the bottom. And here comes Kyle Busch from 39th starting spot.
Looks like he passed 2 cars in 1 and 2 and got 2 more cars changed on the backstretch.
Here comes Casey Kane right behind him. You can see him 3 wide down the back straightaway. They're making time in a hurry.
David Reagan also back there in the 6 car. Reagan was 3rd quickest in happy hour.
See Casey Kane still working that high side. He's going to be 3 wide once again, but this racetrack is plenty wide for that. Actually makes it kind of fun. You don't ever want to start in the back, but if you're going to somewhere, this would be the place to do it.
David Reagan's view behind Bobby Labonte trying to work his way up. And some moisture on the windshield as Jimmy Johnson now will try to slide by and take the 3rd spot away.
Now looking at the sky, it doesn't look like there's any rain clouds up there, so it may be a little bit of water pushing out of one of these cars, and that happens a little bit on the start of these races where they have them topped off completely with coolant. Sometimes they'll purge just a little bit of that out on the start.
See Brian Vickers, he's fallen back to 4th now. We saw a little bit of this yesterday. He gets that car so loose, and at that start, we heard Pat Tryson talk about that it would tighten up. I think that's what you see most of these guys anticipate, is that their car tighten up as they get a few laps on them. Dave?
Guys, we checked just to make sure that the push that Juan Pablo Montoya gave Brian Vickers into turn 1 didn't give up all those positions, and it did not according to our replays. But Vickers does complain right now that the car is tight in the center of the corner. Won't turn the way he wants to at the start of this race.
We're also hearing that there is some raindrops falling on pit road, some light moisture.
Here we go. Jimmy Johnson trying to hold off Vickers, and Brian going high to the high side.
Yeah, he's already started working a little bit higher than what he was there, and it seems to be his car's coming in. The tires are coming in pretty good for him, so we might see him moving back towards the front of this pack in just a few short laps.
It's almost the same MO as we saw yesterday. After a few laps, he really got going up on the top side and would come charging back to the lead.
Good run here early on for that young man right there. 19-year-old Joey Logano making only his 2nd start here in a Cup car.
Now you can see a few drops on his Cameron lens there. He's got a great battle in front of him, though.
Yeah, Brian Vickers is really on the move. Kurt Busch kind of moved up in front and got his momentum.
Wow, they were 3 wide here a moment ago. Jeff Gordon, and here comes the 33 car, Flint Boyer. He's only ever had 1 top 10 finish here, but felt very good about his chances today.
He has to have a top 10 today, Clint Boyer does, if he's going to try to get into this chase.
See, Jimmy Johnson was trying that low line again to try to get back by Brian Vickers. Just couldn't continue his momentum off the corner.
Here are the guys from the back of the pack now trying to work together, or actually not working together. They were side by side a moment ago. Kyle Busch in the 18, Casey Keene in the 9, and behind him David Reagan, all three of them now trying to move into the top 20.
Casey Keene has gained 11 spots so far. Yeah, you see right there, Kyle Busch also gaining 10 spots.
Well, we saw these guys move around. Some of the cars that they were moving around back there.
Caution's out, presets, caution's out.
The caution on the racetrack, and we are being told it is indeed showers falling. And in spite of the fact that we told you there was a less than 10% chance of showers throughout the afternoon, right now it's 100% over the racetrack.
Yeah, right there's your 10%.
Yeah.
Looking at our window, we see, doesn't look really like rain clouds, but I think it's right above us. It must have a little bit of a round crowd. I mean, we can't see it. We can only see out the front of our window, so it must be right above us.
If the rain is falling, it has to be from right above us. Okay.
It looks good. It looks good out the window, though.
Okay. We're talking about some possibility of some pop-up showers in the area, and the good news is the rest of the radar looks very, very good. So hopefully just a few sprinkles. That's coming from right above us, Andy.
That looking there right there.
Yeah, and now it's getting a little brisker here as we are under caution for rain. Welcome back to the Carfax 400 here at Michigan, the unofficially known as the Drought Buster Stock Car Series. If you ever need rain anywhere, just call us and we'll bring the NASCAR Sprint Cup cars and get a shower in your area. Now, the forecast was just for minimal showers. We just had a brief shower, but this place is so large it can actually be clear in one part of the track and be raining somewhere else. Now watch Joey Logano just sailing here down the straightaway.
Yeah, sailing down there almost 200 miles an hour into this turn one. You see everything's fine right now, but watch. That's no fun, I'll assure you. You can hear him just get out and roll. He's hoping to hear caution because he didn't want to have to come back through there again.
And after that, we went to commercial a moment ago, and the range, it just came down heavily for about 45 seconds to a minute and is now basically just stopped to a sprinkle, if not completely stopped. Let's go down and visit with Alan Gustafson, the crew chief for leader Mark Martin.
Well, Doc, Alan Gustafson is from Florida, so he's used to these short rain showers that come in and come out. A little ridiculous right now, but how concerned are you about how this track is going to change with this short little rain shower?
I'm not too concerned. You know, it's so early in the race. The track's going to change a lot over the day, regardless of what happens, you know, if it's in the shade or in the sun or in the rain or in the dry. So we just got to keep up with it, and whatever our car does, you know, we've got clean air now, so that's going to be one circumstance, and traffic will be another. But we're proud of these Cowles CarQuest guys. Done a good job on this Chevy, and it's fast right now. Just got to keep it out front.
All right, good luck to you guys. Dave?
With Ryan Pemberton now, Brian Brickers is running third. Have you ever seen a more targeted rain shower?
Like they had it honed in right on us. So we were watching on the radar, but it looked like it had GPS coordinates for us right there. So I mean, you can already see it drying right there. You see a nice little strip drying. I don't think it'll be too much longer.
I know Brian was a little concerned about the turnability of his car at the start. Will this washing the track do anything to it?
You know, I don't think it's enough really to wash the track off. You know, it just got it wet. It'll dry. It's not like the water ran down across the racetrack or anything like that. It was a little tight, but it looked like it was coming to him right there. He's starting to get that high groove working, just like he did yesterday.
Yep. After he lost a couple spots, he got back by Jimmy Johnson. So good news for the 83, guys.
Indeed, very good news, and good news for us. The red flag is out, but the better news is the fact that the rain has stopped. That little cloud over us seems to be moving away, and they will get this track to dry very quickly because there's still quite a bit of heat in the racetrack. And as you heard Ryan say a moment ago, they could even see areas already drying there where this brief shower came across. Back to Michigan in just a moment.
We are under the red flag, 8 laps into today's Carfax 400 here at the Michigan International Speedway. Yup, it rained. Even though the forecast called for just a 10% chance of a scattered shower. You look, there's about 5 of those scattered showers out there, and one of them came right over the top of this racetrack.
That means it was 100% here.
I can't believe that. That's unbelievable. Well, hopefully it doesn't rain tonight when Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell happens between Ryan Howard and the champion Philadelphia Phillies and their division rivals, the Braves, led by Chipper Jones. That's tonight at 8 Eastern on ESPN. Then on Monday Night Baseball, presented by Holiday Inn, ESPN2 at 10 Eastern, Albert Pujols and the St. Louis Cardinals head to Los Angeles to take on Manny Ramirez and the Dodgers. ESPN News shown in St. Louis and Los Angeles for that one. Major League Baseball, ESPN and ESPN 360. For more, log on to ESPN.com. So the field is parked. The drivers have gotten out of their cars under this red flag, though track drawing does progress quickly since it appears to have stopped raining, Dave.
It has for now, Alan. And Ryan Pemberton, I'm sure, explaining to these guys how that storm had GPS, in his opinion, earlier on, and it's still hanging around, Ryan. Brian, where were you on the track, and what did you see? How fast did it get here?
Oh, wow. It came in quick. I mean, we had a couple of dribbles here and there right before the race started. Nothing that I thought would prevent us from going green, and it kind of continued through turns 1 and 2. And there again, I didn't see a problem with it. The track was fine. And then all of a sudden we went down in turn 1 and the bottom just fell out of the sky, and they threw the caution, and then it got even worse the next lap. Now it's sunny again. So who knows what's going to happen. I woke up this morning and it said 0% chance of rain. I'd love to have that job, right? The meteorologist.
They get to keep their job even after that. Can you believe it? Hey, you guys are swapping positions here for just a minute, you and Jimmy. Your car was starting to come back. Is that what we're hearing?
Yeah, there at the start, that Hendrick horsepower on the outside, we had no chance. They just about both had me cleared by turn 1, but the cars are good. The 5 to 2 are good. The 48 strong. Once we moved up, our car started to come to us a little bit. We were a little tight to start with, and I think the car is getting better and better. So hopefully we'll be able to get up there to Mark and put on a show.
All right, and Jimmy, as long as we're right here, if we can, just for a second, the ultra high line here, he went by you in it. Are you interested in that today?
Yeah, I'll work my way up there. I'm not necessarily a bottom chaser at this track, but I usually run lower on the track and I let guys like Brian dust off the top. I got by him in the middle of the track, and then I was trying to work my way by the 2 car, and Brian got rolling around the top, and it was looking good up there. But we were just saying, we kind of, if this racing thing doesn't work out, maybe a job as a meteorologist would be nice, because you just don't have to be right. It's kind of cool. This morning there was a 0% chance of rain on Weather Channel, and here we are.
Here's going to be the headline tomorrow. Race car drivers throw meteorologists under the bus at Michigan. Right, Shannon?
Well, Dave, our in-race reporter is now out of his car, and we're interviewing him in the pit box area outside, talking to his crew, hanging out. We saw you make a really good move in those first 8 laps. How good is the car right now?
I drove down into 1 on the initial start, and it just kept turning, and I didn't have to lift out of the gas until way late for the apex. So I stayed in it and grabbed a few spots, and Mark's strong. Mark Martin's got a good car. We'll wait to see how we settle in, but one thing we've been trying to work on is just to get our car to squirt out there with fresh tires, because double file restarts, everybody's on top of everybody, so it's good when you can have an advantage like that. So we'll see if it holds up later today.
The track will be cooler now based on this rain. How is that going to affect the car, do you think?
I think it'll loosen our car up quite a bit, so we'll see how it shakes out. It's a long race. I mean, we need new weather equipment. We had 0% chance today and sunny times, so we have the car really on the loose side, and we'll see how it shakes out for us. But good start for the Miller Lite Dodge.
All right, good luck to you. Jamie? Well, this morning, Shannon, rumor had it this guy was the fastest Joe Gibbs car. Qualified 8th, gained 3 positions in 8 laps. So what do you think, Joey? Was it as good as we heard?
It's pretty good. I was really excited about the way we took off there and able to pass a few cars. Home Depot Toyota is pretty good. Make a couple little adjustments on our pit stop here, but besides that, I think we're top 5 car right now. I know a lot of guys are going to be working on their cars and getting better, so we got to keep up with them and see if we can gain some more spots.
Talked to your crew chief this morning, Greg Zippadelli, and he talked about your progression. You're progressing so fast that he can't even use notes from past racetracks. It's like every time you come, it's something new. How different is it coming back here for a second time?
It's a lot easier, believe me. Last year at this point, I was 30th, or the first race, I was about 30th right now. So to be up in the top 5 it's pretty exciting. It's a lot of fun. Racing up here with these guys that you used to watch on TV all the time. So I'm looking forward to the second half of the season. If everything goes like we are right now, I hope we can get some good races in.
Well, it's all about comfort. He's running 5th. We'll see if he can hold on to it. Vince?
Standing here with Casey Kane, having a quick conversation with Kyle Busch as they're comparing their cars here in the early going. Both those guys were moving it in the right direction, that's for sure. Casey picked up 10 spots there in the first 3 laps. Is the car that good, or is that just traffic you should be getting by to begin with?
Well, we had a pretty decent car all weekend, so I think we should get by a few of them cars. And I'm following Kyle here, and Elliott's right in front of us, and he was asking me where I'm beating him. So I don't know. I think we're both gonna get a little better. We're gonna pit and get our cars better. I was a little free in, but the car felt all right. I think it should be pretty good today.
So where were you beating Kyle?
Right in the center. He's going to go fix that. Now I probably won't beat him in the center anymore.
Well, we're going to keep our eye on that, and we'll monitor that throughout the course of the day, Alan.
That's fun. Did you ever walk up to somebody, Rusty, and say, where are you beating me so I can go fix my car?
Yeah, I just go walk up to him and lie to him after that one.
Yeah.
What in the world's that all about? Ask him where he's beating him. He tells him. Give me a break.
Well, all I got to do is look in the mirror.
Drying the track out quickly here in Michigan under the red flag, though, for rain after 8 laps. Track drying underway at the Michigan International Speedway. Looking to get today's Carfax 400 back underway. You see the army of safety trucks out on the speedway and the jet dryers, and again the sun popping back out. Shouldn't be all that much longer before we can get the race cars back out onto the racetrack. Shannon, who are you talking to?
Well, I'm down here with the army of Stewart-Haas Racing, Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman. First, let's chat with you. How is the car so far in the race today? You had a great qualifying effort.
I think we lost 2 spots, which on the inside's not uncommon, I guess you could say, but the Haas Automation show, it felt pretty good. We got snookered by a couple. I think Danny got around us when I was trying to fight my way around the one, and we're okay. We just didn't get the great start that we wanted.
Now, Tony, you've already moved up 7 spots, but one thing that I think is interesting, I spoke with Darian Grubb this morning. He said this track suits you because there are so many different lines, and it's very much like a dirt track for you, your old type of racing, what you grew up on. Can you explain how that could be a benefit for you?
Well, this place hasn't been repaved in a lot of years, so it's really wide, which the drivers like, because we can move around, we can split seams, we can move places to make our cars drive different, and it's kind of like similar to a dirt track. You got to move around to find where your car wants to be and works the best. So hopefully that gives us a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, well, hopefully the car isn't as loose as a dirt car. Tony Stewart's already moved up 7 spots. Guys?
Drivers being called to their cars. That's good news. Going to get them buckled back in and get these cars back out on the racetrack and get the green flag out again after the little passing shower that came through here. This Michigan International Speedway was built in the late 1960s. It opened in 1968. First NASCAR race, 1969. Original designer or owner, I shouldn't say designer, but owner of the racetrack, the original head of the Speedway was a man by the name of Larry Lopayton. And he was a little bit ahead of his time, and the racetrack kind of fell into some financial difficulties early on and went into bankruptcy. Roger Penske and his newly formed at that time Penske Speedways Corporation bought the track out of bankruptcy.
And he's always looking for a good deal, we talked about. Penske likes good deals.
And ran the racetrack for many years, built it into one of the most popular facilities for fans and drivers alike, and then a few years back sold the racetrack in the merger of Penske Speedways and International Speedway Corporation to ISC. Now, the current track president, Roger Curtis of ISC, announced a series of initiatives for 2010, and he's standing by right now down on pit road.
That's right, Alan, and of course the racetrack and the facility looks beautiful with the changes that have already been made. Let's talk about those before we talk about what's coming up in 2010, all the upgrades and refurbishing that you've done to the facility here already.
Well, it's all about the fans. We started 3 years ago. We put about $50 million into the facility, plus fixing traffic, which, you know, Michigan was kind of known for that. Well, I think we're now known for great traffic, but we put in new PA, new scoreboard, new comfortable seats, new signage, and we're not done. This building right behind us is going down right after this race, and this will be the first phase of redoing the infield.
And Roger, I know you've got some big plans coming up for the fans in 2010 to reward them as well.
Well, we really care about the folks here, and I grew up as a fan and sat right over there. I could show you my seat, and we really want to do something for them, so we're going to drop the prices on every single seat, even the seats that renew at 100%. We're going to leave some money on the table, I know, just to say thanks to what all the folks have done to get here in these tough economic times, and we really appreciate it. So they're going down. Infield wristbands, too. I got to mention that because there's a lot of cool folks down in there, too.
Well, congratulations on everything that you've done so successfully already, and thanks for thinking of the fans. I know they'll certainly appreciate that for next year.
I appreciate it, too. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for the great coverage. I think we're ready to go racing.
I think we are. Roger Curtis, the president of Michigan International Speedway, and I know the fans are going to certainly appreciate that, Alan.
Vince, thank you. We talked earlier today about how hard hit the Detroit area has been by the struggles the American automotive industry has suffered in the last 12 months or so, and this racetrack is selling tickets to those people.
Yeah, and it's great to see them backing off and doing some prices and really
sending out the appreciation, because this track is largely supported by the people in the Michigan area, and as we said, they've suffered on some tough times. But I want to ask, are they going to make the garages a little wider? Because, man, you got to have that short jack handle. I mean, them things, I know, but, man, them guys they're just too tight in there. You ask any crew chief, you know, I heard they need more bathrooms at Rusty's place. Well, they need bigger garage areas here.
That's so they can get all those egos, all those crew chiefs in there. They need more room.
Time for a break, I believe. And when we come back, hopefully they're firing up the race cars and sending them out onto the racetrack. I just heard a bus back over somebody, I think. Mark Martin's your leader. We're going racing in a minute.
Engines have fired and cars are rolling here at the Carfax 400 at Michigan. After a brief rain delay, a shower coming across, we had a caution flag and a red flag. And now the track looks to be pretty well dry, so they're going to roll the cars on the racetrack and get a little more heat in it. So why don't we go down and visit quickly with a couple of crew chiefs. How about Bob Osborne with Dave?
And of course, Bob getting ready to go back to green here with Carl. Carl started 32nd today. Bob, you're at the back of the queue. Any thought of pitting now for fuel?
We'll just see what the crowd does here. If it makes sense to come, we'll come. But we're really playing it off of what everybody else in front of us does.
Does the rain change anything, handling characteristics, anything for you guys?
We'll find out. I don't know.
All right, he's going to watch the restart with us. Jamie?
Juan Pablo Montoya qualified third. He slipped back to sixth. 8 laps under your belt. Did you learn anything about the car?
A little bit. Yeah, we'll make some adjustments to that first pit stop, but I don't believe it's going to be now.
Don't think the pit stop's going to happen now? Stay out a little while longer?
It's track position here this early. You got a long ways to go.
Look at the smile on his face. That guy needs to play poker, but he told me, hey, I do it every Sunday. Guys.
Roll with the dice. Bobby Labonte still on pit road with the hood up. They were going to change spark plugs on that car. They've got an engine miss. He came down a couple of laps ago, right before the caution came out. Andy, what do you do? Do you consider a pit stop here on lap 9?
Well, you do if you're at the back half of the field. I think we'll see a lot of cars from the back half come in. We heard Casey Kane say there under that red flag that they were going to come in and pit. So look for quite a few of them. I think you see, like you see the leader staying out right here. You'll have some of these guys right now. You see, like Keselowski's making a move to pit road.
Yeah, I thought it might get
now
back to about 20th with Kenseth, but they started even before that.
Yeah, Keselowski was the 12th place car, so behind him they are peeling down. Yesterday's NASCAR Nationwide Series winner and a dramatic finish, getting his first win on the home racetrack.
See Keselowski just getting 2 tires and back out. Gordon's in. Just getting a splash of fuel.
Hold up. All right. Go. 25's coming. You're clear.
See, Kyle Busch came on the pit road. There's Carl Edwards. Now, these guys will enjoy this double foul restart that were coming from the back of the pack. Dale Jr. in, getting left side tires. Marcus Ambrose. There is Kyle Busch. A little trouble with that left rear, but they're under yellow, so there's nothing lost there for him. We just joined our coverage. We had a brief rain shower, and we got a yellow flag on lap number 8. They brought the cars around and parked them, and then had a red flag, and then the shower went away. The track is dry, and now we have got the cars back on the racetrack to try to be able to get this race back under green.
There's our AT&T fastest pit crew of the year. See Jeff Gordon leading. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, and Jimmy Johnson, top 4 teams.
Yeah, the points are accumulated by a team who wins the race by fan voting and by an ESPN pick. You can make your pick for the AT&T fastest pit crew of the year by texting the car number for the pit crew you think is fastest and most valuable in each race to 2258. Standard messaging rates do apply. The 24 car Jeff Gordon, fuel only, no tires there on his Chevy.
Yeah, I noticed he made up quite a few spots, which is going to be beneficial to him. I wonder if he got 2 tires, but we're being told it's just fuel. So a little strategy move there and got themselves back out with quite a few spots ahead.
Let's update the 2 car, Kurt Busch. Shannon.
Guys, Kurt Busch is a 2-time winner at this racetrack, but regardless of the success, they're always trying to find a quicker way around this racetrack.
I don't know. Every time I think about this place, I try to remind myself of Atlanta and how to drive it. At 10-4, I mean, tires are usually fairly big here, so. It looked like you were getting through 1 and 2 there as you're getting Martin there at the end. Yeah, 10-4, we were good in 1 and 2 yesterday. I just can't figure out 3 and 4 right now.
Now, according to Pat Trice and crew chief for Kurt Busch, they did spend some time working different lines in practice. This is their June setup on their June car, which they finished 8th. Kurt said their goal today is just work on what they learned back in June and get a better finish today. Guys?
Thank you very much, Shannon. Mark Martin choosing the outside. And again, the leader can choose the outside or inside line. He chose the outside line, which we saw work effectively all day yesterday in the nationwide race.
Worked pretty good on the start of the race for Mark also. It'll actually work better this time because now he can get to the start-finish line first. On the initial start, he had to wait till Vickers crossed that line.
Yeah, we showed you Bobby Labonte a while ago. They have taken that car to the garage right now. And Kurt Busch talking about trying to figure out 3 and 4. It's really easy to overdrive that corner getting in, and he's won races here, so he knows. But man, if you back off a little early and can get back to the throttle, if your car allows you to do that, it really can help down there. But we'll see what he can do from the inside here with Mark Martin.
Joining Bobby Labonte in the garage area, David Gilliland also in the garage. Everyone else, 42 other cars on the racetrack as we go back to green here at Michigan. What did Brian Vickers say a moment ago? All that Hendrick horsepower just went off and left me on the start.
I'll tell you, he did. He got going fast, Mark Martin did.
Yeah, I think those guys in Hendrick camp probably laughed at that a little bit because they know that Toyota, his is pretty steamy too, but they obviously do a great job at Hendrick Motorsports.
Denny Hamlin now on the inside of the 83 Vickers. Speaking of a couple of Toyotas, Hamlin taking a spot away.
Yeah, this is a team that's really coming on. I think they're getting poised for a nice little run at the championship. They seem to be getting some new cars built. Denny's pretty comfortable with what they're doing. Mike Ford's doing a great job, so team to really be watching.
And Joey Logano right in the mix there too in that picture. Looking to make it 3 wide, getting into turn 1.
Look at the different lines on this racetrack. It's 5 lanes wide, a lot to choose from here.
It can go a lot of different ways. We see Jimmy Johnson had a run on Kurt Busch going down the back straightaway. He's going to stay to the inside. See if Kurt can fight back on the top side here. Jimmy's able to get in the gas pretty hard, so he's going to take that second spot away.
Jimmy Johnson has to wonder, what do you have to do here after leading all the laps he led here back, led 146 back in June. 2 wide. They were 3 wide a moment ago. There is the guy that ran out of gas back in June, the 16 car of Greg Biffle, coming out of turn 2 on the white flag lap.
Yeah, that's tough to swallow. You got yourself in that position all day, but you can see that these guys just taking different lines around this racetrack. Just amazing. We got 2 and 3, sometimes 4 wide.
Jeff Gordon caught in behind Biffle, and
look at this right here.
Just
look at Edwards. Wow.
Here.
Look at Allmendinger just cut right across the nose of Carl Edwards getting in the corner.
See, Carl's got down on the white line down on the bottom. That was always a fun place to run if your car worked down there. It's hard. You can give up some getting off the corner, though, if you're not careful.
Well, they were 4 wide a moment ago, and this guy on the left, Robbie Gordon, was the guy up near the wall.
Robbie likes that high line. As a matter of fact, as high as you can possibly get without hitting the wall a lot of times. Really keeps his car wound up. See these guys really moving around a lot. A lot of trust with each other. See Kyle Busch back in there with Jeff Burton trying to make their way up towards the front.
Watch Carl Edwards go all the way down to that white line and just hug the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, you can make some time right now, but you have to be careful that you don't give up too much on this exit right here. As you can see, Carl's able to hang on. You see Reed Sorensen getting a real push from Brad Keselowski right there and going to take that spot back away.
And Keselowski got right side tires under that caution at lap 9, so he's got just a little fresher tires.
This is back 19th through about 29th in position. Ambrose is 19th, Sorensen 20th, Edwards 21. This group you're watching here, David Reagan on the outside to make a pass.
Yeah, you can see the 3 wide right there. Reed Sorensen in the middle. Carl just can't seem to keep that momentum going. He can't get anybody to help him. These other guys are getting some push. That's really making a difference because of how much the draft works here as you're close to 200 miles an hour on both straightaways. See, Carl's done, he tried to move up. Now he's going down with his teammate, David Reagan. Really what makes this place so fun. You saw Carl go in the middle of the racetrack and ended up down there on that yellow line in turns 1 and 2. As we see Jimmy Johnson has caught Mark Martin.
Jimmy Johnson on the high side. Mark Martin driving the car. He finished second to Jimmy Johnson in at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Right now it's the other way around. Martin has led all 16 laps thus far, but Johnson is on the hunt.
Jimmy Johnson is the one that dominated this race up here in June. Did everything except win. He ran out of gas coming to get the white flag. Ended up finishing 22nd.
Mark Martin is the one that did win.
Yep.
So he had a good car too, but Jimmy had just a little better car if he hadn't run out of fuel.
This is one of only 6 tracks where Jimmy Johnson has never won a Sprint Cup race. We're also going to one next week, by the way, where Jimmy hasn't won in Bristol, Tennessee.
See, Jimmy's been working that high line. Now he's thinking a little bit about trying the bottom side, see if he can get a run on Mark Martin. He's up beside him, see if he'll get over to him. Right, a little side drafting going on here. He's trying to slow the 5-car down just a little bit. You see, as he gets to the bottom here, he'll probably pull ahead just a little bit as they get into the corner. Now he actually backs off and gets in behind Mark Martin.
Mark Martin talking all week about looking at the big picture. He wants to get in the chase, and he came into this race 11th in points, but not a lot of buffer. Back in a moment. 22 laps in here at Michigan. We've got a great battle going up front, and great battles all over the racetrack here. As a moment ago, Jimmy Johnson made a run at Mark Martin. Mark able to hold him off, and Jimmy has moved back about a car length or so. And let's listen in to this 5 team.
I got you both. I can hear him, Jeremy. Okay, Alan, can you hear me? Yeah, Mark, I got you. You got me? Okay, I got a short in the earplugs here. 10-4, can you hear us?
Price having a little busy right now trying to hold off Jimmy Johnson, but he does have a little bit of a radio issue.
That's got to be disconcerting, Ray Evernham, when you got a driver that really wants to be able to communicate, and you're concerned that you can't hear him and he can't hear you.
It really is, Doc. But I think what we might be seeing right here, sometimes, and when it rains that hard and that soon, they can't get those cars covered up, and you get a little bit of moisture in the radio. Now, the good news is that if it is moisture in the radio, if he plays with those connections, eventually it'll pick back up. And Tim Brewer down in the Craftsman Garage, have you got something for us on that?
Yeah, I think so, Ray. You know, the earplugs right here, you know, and they're relatively simple to change because all Mark has to do is unplug them from the helmet. And, you know, he can remove the helmet, he can replace that. But the wires are really delicate here. But as far as the radio switch itself, it sets inside the car right here. And like you said, Ray, the car's exposed, a little bit of water gets down in here. And we seen that earlier this year in Darlington, South Carolina, when they didn't get the car covered up, had a little water in there, but like I told Petrie during the race, as that car gets hotter inside, it'll dry out and that radio will start working again.
You're right, Tim. And I'll bet you Mark Martin was running races long before they even had radios in race cars.
When I hold it, you know, so you can probably talk to me now. 10-4, buddy, just foul the 48, 18 away. We got the half, or 3/4 pound out of the right front.
Saying 18 laps away from pit, and that'd be lap 42.
Yeah, it's really aggravating as a driver too when you have it. It's kind of, sometimes it'll bounce back and forth between the two earplugs. It's not a lot of fun, and it just kind of upsets you a little bit. You want to be able to get it fixed as we ride along here with David Reagan.
We were talking about the Roush cars and being concerned about where they started. Well, I guess you guys are right. You don't have to be concerned where you start, because look at what they're doing here. Kenseth all the way up in the top 10. Look at David Reagan, who's come all the way, he's gained 20 spots up to 17th position.
This has been one of David Reagan's better racetracks. Ran a great race yesterday in the nationwide race. He's got a good one going so far today, too.
I've been watching Matt Kenseth a lot, too. He has been on the bottom of the racetrack most of the time, and he's one guy that really tries to make that work here.
We're hearing that the 2-car got very close to the wall. Did he brush it? Let's see if he got it against it at all, but very, very close up across the racetrack for Kurt Busch.
That's a chance you take if you're going to move up there. Let's see with Kurt Busch, it's like coming out of turn 4 right here.
Well, that's getting all of it right
close there. Yeah, I believe
he stayed out of it, didn't
he? Yeah, he got by it without hitting anything. That's that.
Scared him,
kind of flattens
back
out
off.
there. Yeah, and kind of flattens out there, and you lose the front end there most of the time, and you have to really be careful whenever you're running that high on the racetrack. You give yourself just enough room. Brian Vickers is trying his best to hit it.
Vickers about to run out of room.
Boy, Vickers was driving his car sideways yesterday in the NASCAR Nationwide Series race. There is Matt Kenseth. Let's check in with Vince.
Well, Matt Kenseth is one of those that cannot afford to have a bad day. He's right there on the edge. He's 12th, the final position
not hitting on all cylinders. I'll keep you informed, he said. Now, holding steady at 8th, but Matt Kenseth certainly hearing something inside that car that he doesn't like.
That is not good news at all. Matt Kenseth, he said this is one of, if not his favorite racetrack. He has been so successful here over the years. As we watch his telemetry, see if we can hear and see anything engine related.
I don't know. He ran about almost 1/10 and a half faster than the leader in the last lap. So it may not sound exactly right to him, but sometimes your earplugs will do that to you too. These guys got out of the car and they'd been sweating and stuff. So sometimes the earplugs don't get back in there right. And I'm not doubting what Matt's saying, but he's running some pretty good lap times.
Andy, if a crew chief hears that, they may say, hey, if he's running that fast, make mine sound like a tractor too.
Yeah, really. Yeah, it's running fine right now. And I'd just, as a crew chief, say, hey, look, last lap you were faster than the leader. I think everything's fine. Just focus on what we're doing.
Third, Denny Hamlin. Fourth, Brian Vickers. And Vickers has been high, he has been low, but he's still a couple of car lengths back of Hamlin, trying to find a way around that 11 car.
And he's doing everything he can to get that third spot back, but he's running extremely high, but Hamlin's taking that away a little bit. See, Jimmy Johnson, he's moved up on the racetrack.
Pit stops will be coming up in about 10 or 11 laps, so we'll take a break. It is Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, Hamlin, Vickers, and Kurt Busch, the top 5. Jimmy Johnson, currently our leader here at the Carfax 400 at Michigan. 33 of 200 laps are complete as we ease in on the first pit stop of the day. There comes Juan Pablo Montoya, and right behind him, glued to that deck, is the 17 car of Matt Kenseth, who is now being shown all the way up in 8th position.
He started back in 25th, but none of his passes have come on the outside of the racetrack. He's just really making this car work on the bottom.
Ooh, squeezes right up in front of Montoya.
That's what Matt works on in practice, is getting your car. And I've always believed here, if you can make your car work on the bottom, if something changes and you have to go to the top, you can make that work a lot easier. If you work on your car just around the top, you can't ever go to the bottom and make it work. Dale Jr. right now is making it work.
He's making that top side work. He's made a couple passes there in the last 2 laps. He passed Ruderman the last lap, and he passed Kyle Busch the lap before. And he's been all but scraping the wall.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has actually gained 6 positions in the last 5 laps, so he's just picking them off almost 1 a lap. Now being shown in the 20th spot.
Yeah, he stayed very committed to that, and there's really not many guys. We've got cars running high, but not many that are running as high as what he is. And so he's able to make some passes and get a nice run off the corner and really goes down the straightaway then.
So Jimmy Johnson, our leader, Mark Martin, Vickers, Hamlin, Kurt Busch. Kenseth is coming, so is Earnhardt Jr. We'll take a break and come back with pit stops in a moment. Working lap 39, it'll be lap 40 next time by, which means that pit window very, very close. You look at the high side there, Brian Vickers is coming in a hurry. He has got a rocket here in the last 5 laps. The 39 car on pit road, Jamie Little.
And Ryan Newman has been struggling with this car since yesterday in happy hour. Says he has no grip at all. He's sliding all the way around. He wants them to go back. You see the ratchet in the back window. Wants them to go back on all the adjustments they made overnight. It's going to be an extra long pit stop. 4 tire Sunoco fuel, 14.7 for Ryan Newman.
So the cycling of pit stops beginning here on the racetrack now. Mark Martin will lose that 2nd position to Brian Vickers. Jimmy Johnson about 1.2 seconds ahead. There's the 48 car, our leader. Let's go down to Jamie Little again.
And Greg Biffle, 2-time winner here. Greg said that they've been struggling with this car. Same exact setup, same car that they ran here last Michigan, and they've just been scratching their head. The ratchet in the back window, fill it up. 4 tires for Greg Biffle.
The Biff coming out. There comes Vickers in. There comes Denny Hamlin in. Hamlin coming to you, Dave.
And Brian Vickers is coming down pit road too, guys. Doc, you called that car a rocket. Vickers said the car is good now, but it took too long to get here. So crew chief Ryan Pemberton is going to call for some changes on this car to try to make it better in the short run. There goes looks like a track bar adjustment. Can't quite tell from here, but it's going to be a chassis adjustment. Air pressure as well. Now the 11 car of Denny Hamlin is in. Denny's complaint has been that the car was pretty tight. They're going to take some air pressure from the right front and wedge. 4 tires. Shannon?
Kurt Busch says tight in 3 is the biggest battle they're fighting right now. Right side air pressure, 4 tires and fuel for the number 2 car.
The 48 of
Jimmy Johnson. He said the entry is great, but they're going to make an adjustment anyway. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel, and also taking a spring rubber out of the left rear. It's been a good start for Jimmy Johnson at a track in which he has not won. Shannon.
Guys, Mark Martin in the 5 car still battling some earplug issues with the radio. He says it goes in and out, but right now he says the car on the track needs to turn just a little bit better. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment to try to help that 5 car. 4 tires and fuel for Mark Martin. Dave?
Kevin Harvick is on pit road now. He had been running in about the 13th position. He's going to get a chassis adjustment as well. It's the track bar back where it was. On that first run, it was tight in the center. This time it's loose. He wants that track bar back down again. Vince?
The 17 of Matt Kenseth is in, and remember we told you earlier, Kenseth was complaining that maybe he thought he was hearing some strange sounds from his motor, but as the guys upstairs documented, his lap times weren't falling off. That's certainly good news for Drew Blickensderfer, the crew chief. Now the team making a 4-tire change, fuel, and cleaning off the grill for Matt Kenseth. Dave?
The biggest complaint that Dale Earnhardt Jr. had was tight in the center of the corner. The good news is that went from a 5 down to about a 2 on his scale. So they're going to make a chassis adjustment. You see the wrench going in the window there. On that side, full of fuel and 4-tire change for Junior. He was making up spots. He was one of the cars that pitted on that first red flag situation, and he'd been making up spots ever since. Had picked up about 10 positions on the racetrack.
Jeff Gordon coming down pit road. Remember now, folks, so the cars from 12th on back did come in right before the red flag came out. Those guys had already been on pit road, so some of these guys have more of a fuel window. Shannon.
Jeff Gordon has moved up 12 spots since the start of this race. He said the car was good before the rain. The car is good now. He's not going to make any changes to the 24 car. 4 tires and fuel for Jeff Gordon as those guys go to work on the left side. Great pit stop for Jeff Gordon.
Marcus Ambrose getting his stop completed. First scheduled stop of the day for Marcus. Brad Keselowski, whose car had gotten very, very loose. He had dropped back into about 25th position. Let's go down to the 33 pits. Vince.
Shane Wilson, the crew chief for Clint Boyer, told him lead a lap and then come on in. They're going to put on 4 fresh tires, and they're also going to go down a half round on the track bar. Remember, Clint Boyer came into this race 15th in points. He'd been gaining, had clicked away 52 over the previous 2 races. So it's important to have good, clean stops and a good race today. Jamie.
And Jamie McMurray in the 26 is in his pit box. We have a crew cam on him. You see it live there, changing that front right tire. 4 tires for Jamie McMurray. Remember, this is the house that Roush built, guys. He runs well here. You see him going to work there on the left side of the car. He's down and away. It's a good stop. 14.4, guys.
The 6 car of David Reagan, their best finish 6th this year at the Daytona 500. That was a long, long time ago. But they felt like they've had a much better race car this weekend than what they qualified. Remember, David Reagan qualified 37th. Jimmy Finnig, the crew chief, told me this morning, our car is a lot better than 37. They've been out showing it today. A good, clean stop here for the 6, 4 tires and fuel. Dave?
Vince Carl Edwards will come down pit road. His car had gotten very, very loose. It was just a little bit loose at the start of that run, and it went even worse loose. So that'll be a wedge adjustment in the back of that car. 4 fresh tires and fuel for Carl Edwards as well. Before this stop, he had been running in about the 18th position. Of course, moved up as it cycled through. We'll see where he cycles back out.
By staying on the racetrack, Carl Edwards able to give a lead a lap and get those 5 bonus points. Now look, here's Jimmy Johnson, the 5 car of Mark Martin just to the inside of him. Denny Hamlin is there in the 11, and Hamlin will be shown as the leader.
He got that lead because he pitted just a little shorter than the other cars did, and had those fresher tires for a few laps and gained some track position here.
Guys, Rusty and Ray, some interesting strategy here. Some of the guys came down on that lap 8 before the red flag. Others had to wait and make their first stop just a moment ago.
Yeah, guys, some of the ones that pitted early there had about 8 to 10 laps more fuel left in the tank, but when that group of guys just now pitted, they were outrunning them so bad on those fresh tires. Even though they had more fuel, they couldn't stay on the track. They were getting outrun too bad. They ought to hit pit road to get those cars staying up with the leaders, because if they had stayed out, Ray, they would have got killed on speed.
Well, that short pit got Hamlin the lead, but you can see that 48 is hooked up now and driving right by him. He's getting a little help from Mark Martin, but that's a hard call for a crew chief to make. You've got to decide if you want to stay out and take a chance on getting those guys a lap down, but if you don't get them a lap down, you're going to lose too much track position to them on new tires.
It was kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm out there, I got more fuel, that's a good thing, but all of a sudden it turned into a bad thing because they were getting outrun. So yeah, that's a pretty good strategy just happened right there, but no harm, no foul. Everybody's back in good shape now. now.
The two-team Hendrick cars able to make a pass on the Toyota of Hamlin, so it is Jimmy Johnson back as the leader. Martin, Hamlin, Vickers, and Logano the top 5. Caution out for the second time of day, and there's the 7 car, Robbie Gordon, who's been running just inches from the wall the last 10 or 15 laps, and he has had contact now with the concrete and damaged the right side of his Toyota.
A little speed up there next to the wall, but it is risky.
Top of your screen here. Watch him coming into the turn.
Yeah, he's already got a problem.
Down.
I don't know if he had touched it earlier maybe and had a tire rub.
Yeah, but definitely had a tire go down as he entered the corner.
Down. We can't lose 2 though. Come in this time. Come in this time.
Okay, the leaders, most of the leaders were in around less than 10 laps ago. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here if they opt to come in and get fuel. What are you going to do, Ray? If you're crew chief right now, you going to come in?
Coming in, I believe I've got 10 laps on those tires. You know, everybody's going to still have to pit again. I'm going to come for fresh tires.
Okay, well, I'm going to try to steal a little track position here. I'm probably going to come too, Ray, but I'm going to get 2 tires instead of 4. And
hey,
it
worked for you yesterday, man.
Yeah, it did work good yesterday.
I don't know. What I saw there, I saw Clint Boyer get 4 tires back earlier, and his car was really fast coming back up through the pack. And so I like getting 4 tires right here.
It's like Clint Boyer's going to opt for a drink of water right now.
Good idea.
It's a pretty hot day out there.
So 10 laps on those left side tires. You're going to opt for track position, Andy, and just change those 2 rights only, and your driver wants 4.
Yeah, if I'm a leader, if I'm, Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, those guys up front, I'll probably get 4, but it's an opportunity for, say, Kyle Busch. He's 14th to get 2 tires and steal some track position. Maybe even Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 17th.
I think it depends on just how good your car's handling, too, as to whether you can do that.
We'll see who will come, if they will indeed all come down. Lap 53 of 200, and they're all down right against that line like they're going to come down pit road here under the second caution flag today, and indeed they will slow down to 55 miles an hour. Let's go down to Vince.
Jimmy Johnson coming in. He and Chad Knaus were having a discussion as to whether to take 2 tires or 4 tires. Jimmy says he's a little tied in, free in the center and free off. They put a round in the left rear. 4 tire change for the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Jamie.
And Joey Logano was 5th. He was having a debate as well. They decided they are going to take the rubber out of the right rear, put the track bar down, and 4 tires for the 20. Shannon.
Jamie, Mark Martin in the center of your screen says he's loose off and needs to turn a little bit better. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment on that right front and a wedge adjustment. It's going to be 4 tires for Mark Martin. Dave?
Denny Hamlin's car was a little bit free on this run. Little trouble on the left rear tire. That's going to cost him time and positions on pit road.
There is a race off, and you see who took 2 tires. Take a look at the top 4 cars, and Rudeman gaining 15 spots. David Reagan.
Man, Carl Edwards 15 spots.
And you saw we were talking about the issues with Denny Hamlin's car. He lost 7 positions there with an issue trying to get out of his pits after changing 4 tires.
That's going to mix up the track position, and it was a time to do that. When you only have about 10 laps on those lefts, that's the best time to do that little move. Try to steal a little track position.
So caution flags, they've been on and off pit road, and we'll come back with a restarted Michigan in just a moment.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Carfax 400 at Michigan International Speedway is brought to you by AT&T. Your world delivered.
And while we're under caution here at Michigan, remind you that the NHRA Lucas Oil Nationals from Brainerd, Minnesota come up tonight at 10 Eastern on ESPN2. NASCAR Now post-race from Michigan late night tonight, 1 a.m. Eastern ESPN2. Then our NASCAR Now Monday Roundtable presented by the Home Depot is at 5 Eastern, also on ESPN2. Next Friday, the NASCAR Nationwide Series on to Thunder Valley at Bristol at 7:30 Eastern. That's Friday night. And the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race at Bristol, the night race at Bristol. Coverage presented by Pennzoil next Saturday starting at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN. We hope you'll be with us for that, as we're looking forward to being there. Under the second caution of this race, the first one was at lap 6 for a little quick rain shower that came through the area. 19-minute delay for that rain. Then we went back racing again. Basically, Mark Martin and Jimmy Johnson have spent most of the time out in front, though the standings jumbled up now after a little strategy on this round of pit stops.
Oh, yeah, a lot of strategy. But the guy that I like with what's going on around is Matt Kenseth. He's all the way up to 9th in the points, and he was the guy sitting 12th in the points. He made a good call. The car's been handling good, and now he's all the way up to 3rd with the 2-tire strategy move, and I believe that was a good call for Matt.
Same thing Jeff Gordon. He made a wonderful move getting on and off pit road, got himself up to 4th. Matt looks really good. It's going to be interesting to see how that top 10 shakes out because Vickers and Johnson are 7th and 8th, and they're both fast.
I locked the front up getting in there. I don't know if it's left front or right front. I don't think it should have hurt it. I watched the left. They look great. They look good, man. All right, you and Kenseth run rights. The 6 and the 00 run rights. Then you got the couple on 4. But I want to get us up there. See what we had, man. You're fast, man. So we just keep tuning on it.
When you come in on a 2-tire stop like they did, you're worried about flat spot in that left front. Now, we're a little over 25% of the way into this race, and I think it's great. I know, Rusty, you don't like all that crazy fuel and tire strategy, but right now we're looking at guys getting track position on 2 tires. We're watching fast cars putting 4 tires on. We've seen different fuel. This is really shaping up to be an exciting race.
If that was exactly the right time to do it. They only had like 10 laps on their tires like we talked earlier. Try right side tires, go for it, get the track position, because this thing is a points race for a lot of guys. Let's not lose fact that they're racing for points, Alan.
All right, 1 to go before the restart. Paul Menard is the leader. He did not pit. You got Matt Kenseth up to 2nd, which brings up the bubble. Remember, we talked about the race to the chase. Well, Kenseth right now sliding up to 121 points ahead of 13th place. Remember, that's the critical number. And Ryan Newman was just on pit road for a 2nd time under this caution, and his struggles early in this race. He's running now all the way back in 34th spot, though on the lead lap. That dropped him now to the bubble boy, just 49 points ahead of the cut line. And again, just a quarter of the way into today's race. I just have a feeling this is going to be one of those years it comes right down to the end at Richmond.
I think you're exactly right. I mean, the 13th, 14th, and 15th position, these guys have gained like 40 points. So they're really making some headway up towards that top 12 position. It's a good day for those guys. Not so good for Ryan Newman right now, though.
All right, so let's reset the strategy and get set for the restart. Back up to the booth to Doc, DJ, and Andy.
Thanks, guys. Paul Menard did not pit, and so he will be on the outside. He will lead them down to the green flag as they line up 2 by 2. And again, our telemetry will be on the leader as we're going to listen into the spotters as we go full throttle with the Gree V12.
So let's just roll. Okay, pace car's off. Pace car's off. Are you ready? All right, man, be ready. Be ready. 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 Not yet. Green flag. All clear front end. All clear front end. Outside 20. 4 wide going into 1 here. 3 wide. So 3 wide side. All good so far. Stay on the bottom. Clear. Clear. Bottom of 2. Back to 3. Cleared up very little. 30. 2 right behind the 0 back to the 2s. Right. Gonna make a 3 wide here. Back to 3 wide. 2 back. 83 car. Still 3, still 3, still 3. Back to 2, back to 3. 2 cars right behind the 00. Back to 2 wide, 2 wide. Nothing behind you. Clear low. Hold behind the 2 if you need it. Back 2 wide.
So just that quickly, Matt Kenseth gets the lead here on lap 58, starting back in 25th position. And boy, they bunched up behind Paul Menard. He did not get off the start, and they were 3 and 4 wide going into turn 1, trying to get around it.
And check this out, some more 3 wide racing on the backstretch. That's what I love about these different strategies. You've got all these cars that are on different agendas and different speeds and looking for lanes to race in.
We got plenty of lanes to race here.
And here's a battle
David
for
Reagan,
second.
battle for second.
Reagan down on the inside, the bottom of the racetrack. He had his best run here back this race a year ago, finished 3rd, equaling his career best finish. But on the bottom, racing everywhere. Look at the left of your screen. Look at Kyle Busch all the way down on the bottom of the racetrack, and that's to back out right behind Kevin Harvick.
Well, you have no angle into the corner. That's a great move trying to do that, but sometimes you have to back out and get yourself clear there. You see Paul Menard get a little bit loose in that corner.
Yeah, Menard struggling. He didn't pit or get any tires. Now you see him 4 wide with Stewart on the bottom. He lost some spots on pit road the last time.
See, Kyle Busch probably lost about 5 spots in doing that because he just couldn't get to the corner straight. He had to really back out of the gas. See Tony Stewart in this battle. Shannon, what are they saying when Tony's pit?
Well, Tony Stewart had made his way through the field. He started 18th. He restarted 21st, guys. They did have a problem on that pit stop. It was a left side problem. They did a wedge adjustment, some air pressure, just trying to free that car up a little bit for Tony. Dave?
As for Kyle Busch, as we see now Jimmy Johnson going past Jeff Gordon. Right now, the 18 car of Kyle Busch was back in that pack as well, and that car was loose on the last run. They made a wedge adjustment for that car. As far as who Kyle can win, who can beat today and make up points, crew chief Steve Addington this morning wasn't sure it was going to be guys like Jimmy Johnson and Juan Pablo Montoya, who ran so well in practice. But he knew 3 or 4 cars he felt they could race with all day and beat on the track and gain points for today. That's the key, and Kyle so far has been coming in front.
This is 18th, 19th, and 20th. Kyle Busch, Jeff Burton, who had an overheating problem a little bit ago because of a wrapper, hot dog wrapper on his grill. He got rid of that, so now he is being shown back up in the 19th spot. And Kyle struggled, still struggling. He struggled all weekend in qualifying 39th, and made a move early up to about 25th, and now being shown in the 20th position.
See Greg Biffle there in the 16 car. He's down on the bottom. He's been trying to make some moves and just hadn't been able to make anything work to speak of.
He can hug that white line there. He gets a good run this time. Just about touches Allmendinger in the left rear.
Now he's going to get a little drafting help. Marcus Ambrose.
See, the Richard Petty Motorsports cars are there. Allmendinger is there. Elliott Sadler's there. And here's the 5 car, Mark Martin, trying to make a move by Brian Vickers for 5th position.
Mark Martin has a really good car today, as does Brian Vickers. Brian seems to take a little bit more time to come in. See him way up on the high line. Mark's going to be able to take that spot away.
Back up front, Jimmy Johnson. He's led so many laps here. He's led the most laps 2 of the last 3 times he's come here, but he has yet to go to victory lane at Michigan. He reassumes the lead for the 3rd time today.
Yeah, but I'm impressed how well the 17 car is running on 2 tires. He's doing pretty well with that strategy. And even Jeff Gordon here, you see he's still doing well.
As is the 6. So you got 2nd, 3rd, and 4th on 2 tires.
There's our in-race reporter, Kurt Busch. Does he have some kind of problem, Shannon?
Yeah, according to the team, Kurt Busch is having some electrical problems inside that car, which is affecting the tack. It's only really affecting him when he comes down pit road. He is not able to see how fast he's going. He's having to watch those lights, and we've talked about those lights a lot. The red, the green, the yellow. He's having to watch those lights to see if he is going pit road speed, so a little extra work for the 2 car.
Yes, not only, I mean, the pit road speed obviously is the biggest thing, but as a driver, that's the only thing you have inside the car to kind of help you gauge when you change lanes and get around. You'll have marks on the racetrack that you'll see as you come off the corner. You want to see where your RPMs are right there to see if a line is working for you, if maybe it's picked up some speed. The guys can tell you lap times, but it helps you a lot to be able to see that. So that's a huge problem for these guys.
Like right there, you saw 9100 just before entering the corner in turn 3. And if he changes his line and turning less than that, he knows it's not as good.
And the engine builder said also, if you want to try to save some fuel, you may need to know where you are RPM-wise, so you can back off on some of the RPMs early and know how much fuel you're saving. So a lot of disadvantages. Right now it is Jeff Gordon running in 3rd position. Matt Kenseth, who won at California in the 2-mile track in February, in 2nd, and Jimmy Johnson, the leader. Now, Sprint brings you an inside look at today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race on the Now Network. Our current top 3 in points. Tony Stewart, who's now clinched a spot in the chase. And 2nd in points, Jimmy Johnson, who needs to gain about 10 more points, and he will clinch leaving here today. And Jeff Gordon, 3rd overall in the points. The top speed now today registered 206 miles an hour by 3 different drivers. David Rudiman, Jeff Gordon, and Juan Pablo Montoya have each been clocked at 206 at the end of the straightaway. For more NASCAR stats, in-car audio, and live race radio, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile at sprint.com/speed. Our leader is Jimmy Johnson here, lap 71 of 200. It is Matt Kenseth in 2nd spot, Mark Martin 3rd, Jeff Gordon 4th, and David Reagan 5th. Now, a battle raging back for 19th, 20th, and 21st spot a moment ago nearly cost the 18 car dearly. Here's what happened.
That cost him a race car right here.
You can see coming out of turn 4, he was trying to go below Dale Jr. Jeff Burton was there and really didn't realize that. Watch this car get sideways. Wow.
And now Kyle not real happy with the car either. Let's listen in.
Left rear quarters killed. Definitely have no more forward right, man. Just hang in there. A long way to go here. More aero loose than you know, man.
It doesn't look like there's that much damage to that left rear, but he feels a lot looser after the contact.
He's right now stagnated, just hanging right there in that 19th position behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 18th spot. And Jimmy Johnson just pulling away over 3 seconds. There's a second place battle, Kenseth and Mark Martin.
I think we're starting to see the 4 tires come to the front now. Even though I think Jimmy Johnson and Mark Martin were the probably 2 best cars anyway, and you put 4 tires on them, you're going to see this happen. But these guys with 2 tires have held on really well so far. Their strategy's working out. We'll see as this run continues if they fall back any further.
And even Gordon, I think the Hendrick cars, they got a great setup for today, because Gordon hanging right in there with his 2 tires.
Every single lap here, people are thinking about fuel mileage and still doing the calculations. And Ray Evernham, as you said, counting backwards from lap 200.
Yeah, Andy, I'm your fuel guy, man. You're the crew chief. I've just come to you and said, look, I think if we can stretch this thing 5 laps, we can make it on 2 stops. It looks like we're 5 laps short. So do you try and stretch it now? Do we get a 1 or 2 lap per tank average over the next 2? Do you back our driver off now? What do we do, man? We're 5 laps short of finishing this race on 2 stops.
Well, we're going to try, Ray. I've had my calculator spinning up here too, and I've got it closer to 10 laps short. Depends on what kind of fuel mileage we can get under a full green flag run. Now, to make it, we've got to run all green laps. We can't count on any caution laps, because if the caution comes out, we're pitting anyway. It's going to be it'll be tough to stretch it that many laps. We'll see if somebody tries it, though. There is an opportunity if somebody's getting great mileage.
I think I'm looking at 45 laps. I'm going to get you. We're going to have to get you some batteries for your calculator, but I think I'm going to go for it. I'm going to tell that guy to start backing off a couple hundred RPM and try and save me a couple laps on this run, a couple laps on the next run, and we're home free.
Okay, man. Good luck.
Now, back in June, the lead cars had to go 47 laps. They pitted on 153, had to make it 47 laps, and 2 of those 3 made it 46. Only Mark Martin was the one that made it 47.
That's why I said good luck.
Now, Tony Stewart has shown over the years, he showed at Pocono this year, he knows exactly how to save fuel.
I don't know how many of the guys are really looking that much at it right now. See, as Tony got back in the back there, we're looking out of the back of Joey Logano's car, but Tony got back on that pit stop, or after that pit stop, and I think he's having to fight his way back up. So I would have to say they'd be asking a lot to tell these drivers right now as they're trying to get as much as they can that they need to save fuel.
DJ, I was talking to a couple of engine builders in the garage area this morning, and they were talking about, yeah, you can save fuel now. The drivers can really save fuel. Carl Edwards showed a lot of us exactly you can make a big difference. He said by really backing off early. He said, now Tony Stewart, what Tony was doing was actually clutching the car, which made even a bigger difference. How difficult is that before you go into corners?
Apparently it was too difficult for me. I never thought about doing anything like that. But yeah, it is something. But it's going to be a more difficult time at a place like Michigan here.
77 of 200 laps. Jimmy Johnson, the leader. Everyone's still thinking, though, about the fuel mileage.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing in the home of the Detroit Big Three at the Michigan International Speedway. After a brief 19-minute rain delay, we have been, for the most part, clean and green. Robbie Gordon with the only on-track incident so far, and Jimmy Johnson, the dominant driver on this day. Jimmy leading Mark Martin by 2.9 seconds as we close in on halfway. Let's take you up to speed with Radio Shack and check in on how some of the front runners are doing. Vince Welch has the leaders pit today. Vince?
Well, and that is Jimmy Johnson, and it should be no surprise that he's running up front today. He led 146 laps back in June when we were here. He took 4 tires at his last stop, and he says the car is getting through the center very well. The car getting through the center for Jimmy Johnson may be bad news for the rest. Shannon?
Vince, after qualifying this weekend, Mark Martin got out of the car, told his crew chief, Alan Gustafson, did you try to kill me? He said the car was so loose. Now, Alan did say that they tried to tighten it up for this race, but right now the car is still loose for that 5. Vince?
The 17 of Matt Kenseth is running 3rd. That's a big jump. He started 25th, and remember, he's the man on the bubble, 12th in the points coming into this race. Drew Blickensderfer, the crew chief, says Matt is really good here. If I can just get him a car he can work with, I know we're going to have a good day, and they are so far. Shannon?
Vince, the 24 team is already in chase mode. They're saving their best cars for the last 10 races. In fact, Steve Letarte told me this weekend they worked a lot on their Fontana setup. This is a pretty good run for working on Fontana setup. Remember, Jeff Gordon is on 2 tires, and all they've made is an air pressure adjustment today. Vince?
What a 36 car of David Reagan. It shouldn't be much of a surprise. He was third here last year, but he started 37th. Their car has been much better today. In fact, he says the grip is pretty good on this race car. They took 2 tires on their last stop, but he's hanging in there tough with those 2 tires. The 33 car of Clint Boyer is running 6th. His car has been so good, they made no adjustments on the last stop. In fact, Clint said the car was hauling through the center, and right now Boyer has already jumped up 2 spots today to 13th in the points. Dave?
When I checked in with Ryan Pemberton this morning about their race car today, he told me they were fairly close, but we're chasing the same things everyone else is. Hot, slick racetrack, car getting a little bit loose. That's a condition they have right now, and they made a track bar and air pressure adjustment on the last pit stop, but it's still just a little bit too free for Brian. Shannon?
Dave, expect the 2 car to come down pit road on or about 98, lap 98 under green. Tight center, loose off is what Kurt is complaining about right now. Now, this team is all about this weekend. They were 4th in the points coming in, but Pat Tryson told me they are not counting their chickens before they're hatched. They want to get a couple good races under their belt before they feel secure in the chase.
Denny Hamlin is running in the 9th position. He restarted 11th, so he's picked up a couple of spots, but just recently he radioed, I can't get to them anymore because my car is not getting off the corner the way that it was. I'll have to make an adjustment for that next time they come down pit road. As for David Rupert, remember he took on 2 right side tires only on that stop along with fuel. They restarted 6th. He's only fallen back to the 10th position right now, but he radioed in as he's getting a challenge from Montoya that his car is getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Jamie?
And Juan Pablo Montoya is driving what he calls his favorite car. He calls it Indy car. Of course, this is the one he dominated at Indy with just a few weeks back, but today it has been loose, and this is a driver that likes his car anything but loose. He wants it to tighten up. They've been making track bar adjustments, wedge adjustments to try to get it there. To tell him to hang in, they should pit around lap 96. Shannon?
Jamie, despite having 3 wins this season, crew chief Darian Grubb said the 14 team still has some work to do before they start the chase. Their biggest issue is communication and preparation. Right now, that car is tight. This is the same condition that they have been battling all weekend long. Dave?
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. is on pit road right now. And on the last pit stop, they were tight. They made a wedge adjustment for Junior. This time they'll go to the right side and take on fuel and tires for Junior. He pitted with everyone else last time. This is a bit early, guys.
Very early. It has to be unscheduled for Dale Earnhardt Jr. They should have been able to go into the mid-90s.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't out of fuel. They were just having problems with the chassis and just wanted to get that set of tires off and get a little reset here. And then hopefully the caution doesn't come out and they'll cycle through and actually gain some track position.
Yeah, his car had been pretty loose and noticed it a couple of times off the corner, so I'm sure they were ready just to get in and get some tires and make some adjustments.
Brian Vickers able to go by Jeff Gordon. You remember Jeff only has the 2 tires, and Vickers running right up against that wall, just hugging that barrier.
So we're looking at this fuel. Wow, look at how close Vickers is getting to that wall. We're calculating this fuel window, and if somebody can't go to lap 103, don't look for somebody to be able to stretch this thing out, because they would have to go to that lap number to be able to do it. So we'll be watching closely how that window shapes up here.
And Andy, that's exactly the window that I'm looking for. And again, it looks like I'm about 5 laps short no matter how I figure it out. So we've got to get to that 102, 103 max this run to make it the rest of the way.
The 88 car, we're being told, had a vibration, and that's why he had to come down pit road just a couple laps ago. Leaders will be in approximately 10 laps. That'll put them shy of the 102 mark you're talking about, Andy, which is going to be very close.
It's 103, Doc.
103, okay.
It's going to make a lot of difference.
Exactly. It made a big difference in June, that 1 lap. So they'll be in around lap 98 or 99. So Jimmie Johnson, the leader, Mark Martin, Matt Kenseth, David Reagan, and Brian Vickers. They'll make their next stop when we come back in about 8 laps.
At the Michigan International Speedway, it's the Carfax 400 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series coming up on its halfway point. You're looking at the fight for the lead. Jimmie Johnson had a 3-second lead on Mark Martin at one point. Now it's down to about 5 or 6 car lengths as Mark is hunting him down.
I'll tell you what, the Hendrick Motorsports cars of Jimmie Johnson and Mark Martin, they got it going on. There's just no doubt about that. But what surprises me now, we're halfway through this race, and we only got 5 guys a lap down. It's just amazing how many cars are still on the lead lap, as you see Brian Vickers and Matt Kenseth. Dave, what's going on down there?
18 of Kyle Busch is in. He was running at about the 20th position. Remember, we saw the contact on tape with Jeff Burton. And this car has gone very, very loose for Kyle right now, so they'll make an air pressure adjustment for sure. 4-tire change for Kyle on pit road. Vince?
What a great day it's been for the 17 of Matt Kenseth, and he needed it. Again, we can't reiterate enough that he is the man on the bubble coming into this race, 12th in that position for the chase. Says, you got to tighten me up. I'm way too loose. 4 tires and Sunoco fuel with an air pressure adjustment. As you see, Mark Martin going inside of Jimmy Johnson for the lead.
Martin Truex in for his scheduled stop. They had a very good car here in practice on Saturday, trying to be able to get to. Let's go down to the Ryan Newman pits. Jamie.
They've had their issues since yesterday, Doc, and it's not getting any better. Ryan Newman just cannot drive this car. He said it feels like it's just sitting on the track. It's not turning. It's like a school bus almost. You see him, they were working on the back 4 tires at 39 down and away, and the points are in jeopardy. And the 20 of Joey Logano, we said he needs this car to turn better. It hasn't been terrible today, but he's working. His crew continues working on it. Their goal today is a top 10. Remember, it's just the second time this 19-year-old has raced here at Michigan, and he's far better. You see him work around on the left side. Jack goes up. They're putting on 4 tires for Joey Logano. Dave?
Carl Edwards was going the wrong way. He gets a fresh drink of water and a wedge adjustment with an air pressure adjustment for a car that restarted 9th and had fallen back to the 13th position. Very, very loose for Carl. Those adjustments should help. Vince?
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson, he says in turn 3 and 4, he's partially on the throttle. In 1 and 2, he is good. They're giving him a little bit of an air pressure adjustment. 4 tires and fuel.
Well, you see your leader, Mark Martin, there. The car is running a little hot, so they're going to clean that grill. They're also going to take 4 tires, and we saw that car come alive. They are not going to make any changes to that 5 car right now. Jeff Gordon is also in right behind Mark Martin. Jeff Gordon right now is saying that the car is a little bit tight. It's 4 tires, air pressure adjustment for Jeff Gordon.
Tony Stewart also in getting his service, 4 tires and just getting by the 07 car of Casey Mears. There comes the 11 of Denny Hamlin off of pit road after he got 4 tires, and then by the Joe Gibbs crew. 6 in of David Reagan. Vince.
The 6th car of David Reagan, you see they've already made the right side tires go on to the left side as well, obviously, or switch that around from the left to the right. 4 tires and fuel. Jamie.
And Juan Pablo Montoya is in his box. He says he needs a little bit more wedge and an air pressure adjustment. They're trying to tighten this car. It's been extremely loose today. Let's go, Dave.
Pole sitter Brian Vickers a little too loose all the way through. He's gotten a track bar adjustment from the 83 car, and he's gone.
There's a 2 car. Kurt Busch coming out. Montoya coming down pit road, trying to get his 12th top 10 finish of the year. We have cycled through, and now Jimmy Johnson once again will be shown as the leader. Now there's the interval between Johnson and Mark Martin. It is over 5 seconds.
I tell you what, Brian Vickers and his team, I've been watching them. They did a tremendous job every time getting on and off pit road. We see these guys battling for some real estate here. Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards just been on pit road. Junior had been on quite a while ago. He's got quite a few laps on his tires.
Yeah, he was able to steal a little bit of track position. He was up to 13th, but now these guys have better tires than he does, so they're going to truck right on by. But that early pit stop with that vibration actually gained Junior a little bit of track position.
This is 13th, 14th, and 15th position on the racetrack. We are 1 lap away from halfway here at Michigan. Jimmy Johnson is the leader. Now, what about the 33 car, Clint Boyer? Back in 4th position. Remember, Boyer only has 1 top 10 finish at Michigan in his entire history here. He needs to get another one today because he is trying to climb up into that chase. And right now, he is just 52 points back in 13th position. So, old Clint is coming. Back in a moment.
Just past halfway in the Carfax 400 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Michigan, and you look at, the fight for the lead. Jimmy Johnson leading Mark Martin. Mark had run Jimmy down by some 3 seconds back before the pit stops. After the pit stops, Jimmy leading Mark by a half a second. Here's a look at our McDonald's race rundown and what's happened in the first half of this race so far. We only got 8 laps in when that happened.
Oh, the trifecta. Rain 3 weeks in a row. Unbelievable. 0 chance of rain. And you see it right there. Raining like crazy, but it was isolated. It dried up, and we're back to race right now, obviously.
Just a 19-minute retro flag. Jimmy Johnson has done a lot of the leading.
He has dominated today. He's led 61 laps thus far. I'll tell you what, these guys better be aware come chase time. This is a team that said they didn't have it figured out in happy hour. It looks to me like these boys are heading for their 4th championship.
And another guy struggling right now, the 18 car, Kyle Busch. He was 58 points out of the 12th. Now he's 76 points, Ray. He's heading in the wrong direction.
And two guys that are heading in the right direction, you look at Matt Kenseth and Clint Boyer. Well, Matt Kenseth got up there, took a 2-tire stop, got himself some good track position. He's been running real good all afternoon.
So while Kyle Busch and Ryan Newman struggle in the race to the chase, you've got Kenseth, Boyer, Brian Vickers all performing well, and that's where we stand halfway through this one. That lead change a minute ago happened on pit road, Dr. Punch.
Indeed, it did. Great job by Jimmy Johnson's bunch. They were very close coming in. Let's show you again what happened as they came out of turn 4.
Yeah, they don't stop racing just because they come down pit road. See right here, Mark Martin leads Jimmy Johnson into the pits, right at the top of the frame. You see Jimmy Johnson's going to peel off right into his pit stall. And Mark has to come all the way down.
I think he was speeding there.
I think so.
It looked like it right there. But then you see Jimmy coming out of his, and right here comes Mark just getting beat by the 48. Now, if you look here, you'll see both of them had great pit stops. There was just a little bit by Mark Martin's team that they lost. They lost 0.2 on the stop itself. But look here on the drive time, coming down pit road and coming off. It's just about a second was lost right there. You see that the total shows that just a little more than 1 second difference in the two.
Yeah, and I think Jimmy Johnson's pit selection actually helps him some in this whole scenario. Getting that first pit box, he's able to get in there. He doesn't have to waste any time there. And so all he has to worry about then is getting off of pit road. So I think that's a great job by Chad Knaus putting his driver in that position that can be beneficial to that whole team.
We're seeing that happen more and more now. They picked the very first pit coming in at Pocono back in June. Everyone used to pick the very first pit on exit, but I guess if you don't get that one, is that the next best choice?
Well, it's a good one. I wouldn't say it's the best choice. I actually like the openings on the other end of pit road, kind of like where Mark Martin was, but that time right there, it worked just a little bit against him.
And as a driver, I always liked it if you could get that first one coming in, especially under cautions if you're not right up front. If you get back even 5, 6, 7 cars back, then everything kind of gets slowed down, and so you're slower getting to your pit box if you follow all the way down pit road, but you don't have to do that being that first pit box.
Here's somebody that's not slow at all. Jeff Gordon has really made up some time since that last stop. Been one of the fastest, if not the fastest car on the racetrack since the pit stops.
Yeah, he was faster than the leader that lap time by. Shannon.
Well, it was an air pressure and track bar adjustment for the 24 car on that lap 97 pit stop. This car has been good all day, guys. They started off, they made no changes on the first pit stop, slight air pressure on the second. This 24 has been hooked up on the racetrack after starting 21st today.
I knew this car was going to be good. He took 2 tires that one time, and he was able to hang right with those leaders and ran a really good segment there. And so I knew when he got 4 tires on there, he was going to be pretty good.
Yeah, we actually saw him early on in that caution after the red flag get some, just get fuel only, and he was able to work his way into the top 10. So he's had a great car all day, as has David Reagan in UPS Ford.
Look at that. He's scheduled to start 35th. There were cars that dropped to the rear behind him, so he started 37. He started 35th, now all the way up to 6th. And he finished 3rd in this race a year ago, so a very good run that's been due. This team has really struggled in 2009, so this really could turn them around.
Yeah, we all had kind of high expectations for David Reagan and that team, getting a new sponsor coming on board this year. We felt like that they might get to victory lane for their first time this year, but hasn't happened so far as we ride along with Matt Kenseth.
Let's go down to Vince.
Well, Matt Kenseth having a pretty good day today, wouldn't you say? He started 25th. He's already been running up in the top 5 most of the day. And he just gave us a rundown over the radio of his car condition.
Okay, yeah, that wasn't right. Should have told you what the car felt like before you told me that, but it feels like it's in yaw more, which makes sense. You let the right rear down and you brought the right rear back when we did that. It's so loose. The looser getting in, you know. Before I drop that track bar now, get you some rear grip. I think you need to put that round back in the right rear too, because I don't know, it just feels like it rotates back so much harder in entry. I can't get into the corner and it's looser in exit. I think that hurt it.
Matt went on to say that he thought this was going to be their worst run of the day, but he encouraged Drew Bricklinsdorfer, the crew chief, to dig through his notes and see what we can pull out to tighten this thing up a little bit.
Vince, Matt Kenseth actually won his last race back on a 2-mile track, the sister track to this one in California back in February. Since Kansas' career began in Cup in 2000, on 2-mile tracks, he has had 5 wins and 16 top 5 finishes. He is really good at this kind of racetrack.
He is good, but that's what he's saying right there. The car is just loose. He's looking for that grip, and Blickensdorfer, the crew chief, he knows that if he puts that comfort in that car, we talked to Pat Tryson before the race started just about this very thing, is that if you do that and make that car comfortable, you can kill the speed on that car.
42 car, Juan Pablo Montoya. He's back in 13th position, trying to move in on the 00 of David Rudiman for 12th. Remember, Rudiman was just outside the chase trying to get in and had the huge disappointment at Pocono. Got involved in an incident in the late laps with Denny Hamlin that cost him a top 10 finish. He ended up finishing 29th. I talked to Dave in the garage area yesterday. He said, we want to prove to people that win at Charlotte, although it was with rain, was not a fluke. That this team, this 00 team, is good enough to be able to win on any given Sunday.
That's how the bubble shapes up right now as they run. See Boyer with this good run that he's had. He's moving up there and looking good. And you know, I've always said this has not been one of Clint Boyer's better racetracks, but he's in a position where he has to make points, and I don't think anybody does a better job of making points when they have to than Clint Boyer. He's found a way to make it into the chase almost every single season that they've had it, that he's been in it.
Yeah, and I think what we're seeing here as Clint tries to work his way back in that top 12 is that the RCR teams are a lot better, and it's a big benefit for Clint Boyer to be on that side of it. They've got some new stuff that they've been doing, and it really seems to be helping this team and this driver quite a bit. He has some really good tracks coming up after this, obviously doing a great job today, so he's in a position to work his way right into the top 12.
Yeah, Boyer very good at Bristol, very, very good at Richmond as well, so he drove his way into the chase 2 years ago. The question is, can he do it in 2009? He might be the only RCR car to get in the chase this year. Back in a moment. Back in Michigan under caution now for the third time a day. Debris over out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. There's a cleanup truck there stopping to pick up some of the debris on the track. So this will enable these cars and basically everybody to come on pit road and fill up with Sunoco fuel and get some fresh tires. Jimmy Johnson, the leader. The free pass, by the way, a moment ago going to the 77 car. A big break for Sam Hornish Jr. Let's go down to the pits and Vince Welch.
Jimmy Johnson coming in. He says the car has been loose, been sliding through the corners. They're going to try to snug him up a little bit with a wedge adjustment and 4 tires. The 17 of Matt Kenseth rolling in. You see in the middle of the screen, they're making a track bar adjustment going down. Also a wedge adjustment, 4 tires and fuel. They've got to be tighter on the 17. Shannon.
Mark Martin says the car is neutral. They're going to take 4 tires, fuel, and they're going to clean that grill. Dave.
Pole sitter Vickers feels that first run really threw him off. The car was tight, so they made it loose. Big adjustment now. 3 rounds of wedge in the left rear to try to tighten that car back up. They didn't want to put a spring rubber in the left rear. Now watch Tony Stewart winning the race off of pit road, and Jimmy Johnson will be second.
Well, why did Tony Stewart win the race? Because they took 2 tires. A bit of a tire gamble there for Tony Stewart for Smoke and Company, gaining 10 positions. Everyone else in the top 10 taking 4.
Yeah, but Brian Vickers right there, he picked up 3 spots and got 4 tires as well, using that #1 pit stall to his advantage.
Yeah, these guys have done a great job on pit road all day, getting Brian on and off.
And they made a big chassis adjustment. You heard how loose Vickers was. Tony Stewart now, first one off. So the points leader is our race leader. Back in Michigan under caution for the 3rd time a day, debris on the racetrack. Now we just saw a moment ago our points leader Tony Stewart came on pit road and took only 2 tires. Now compare him to Jimmy Johnson, who took 4 tires.
Yeah, that's right there in black and white. You see there, it's almost 6 seconds difference. And that's where you get all the spots.
Now the big question is, why would the 14 take only 2 tires? Let's listen to Tony Stewart.
Okay, now you can tell me why we did that. But your lap times are running right there with 2nd and 3rd, and there is no way we can get that track position with everything that was going on here. Your lap times right there, honestly, were some of the best on the track. So try that. You're 2-3. Hopefully this will snug you up just a little bit, and we're right in our fuel window now too.
Well, I mean, that's the only way that Darian Grubb felt like they could get this track position back and get back in the game, and it'll work. If they get a quick caution, they can stay up in the top 5 or so, and they get another caution here in 10 or 15 laps. It puts them right back in the cycle with the leaders, and you gain that track position back. See Chad looking at the tires. That's a good way. You take the tires off. That's really the only way that you can tell exactly what your car is doing, is analyzing these tires, how they're wearing.
Jimmy said he'd been sliding his car around, so Chad's wanting to see exactly how much it was sliding.
Ryan Newman has been on off pit road numerous times a day. They are really struggling to get this car dialed in. And he is really dropping it. He is down at 12th right now in the point standings, just 38 points ahead of the 83 car of Brian Vickers. By the way, back in June, Ryan Newman, they changed a spring on pit road here. That's how far away they were. They're still hunting, trying to get this car dialed in today. Front row, Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson. Side by side, Stewart is the leader as the green flag waves here on lap 120.
I tell you what, that's about as close as you can be, being the second place car to not beating the lead car.
It looked close to me. It looked like Jimmy Johnson may have beaten him to the line there.
I thought he was just behind him, but he's got the lead right now.
It was close.
Whoa, got trouble sideways. Reagan, there's Kurt Busch sliding across the racetrack.
Looks like Busch gets the worst of this.
And caution is out again here.
Get it rolling.
Fourth time today. Cluster of cars coming out of turn 4, and here the leaders will come by and get the caution flag. There's a 6 car.
Looks like he's just got flat tires, no real damage to the car.
They both were running in the top 8, and now Reagan will stay able to get his car going.
A lot of damage to Kurt Busch's car.
A lot of front damage, a lot of fluid trailing.
Yeah, they'll be in the garage area for a little while fixing this car.
Fortunately, he came in 4th in the point standing, so he has a little margin for error, but we told you it's very, very close in this top 12. And Kurt, who missed the chase a year ago, feeling so good about his season, but now they're going to be in that garage area for quite a while.
Yeah, David Reagan jumped down on pit road there before it was open so he can get his tires changed, so one of those tires didn't come apart and tear the body up.
Let's show you what happened here a lap after the restart now.
You can see they're side by side. Kurt Busch on the inside. Is there contact?
Yeah, it looks like Busch gets just a little piece of the left rear quarter panel of the 6 car. Man, look at Edwards sneak by.
Yeah, it looked like Kurt Busch maybe got one of those seams and lost the front end of his car just a little bit, and it went up into the left rear corner of David Reagan's car.
Montoya dodged the bullet too in the 42 car there. He's trying to get in a chase, currently 7th in the points.
You can see it doesn't take much, just a small tap. And look, even Edwards does get a little,
he got a
little bit of contact there on the side of Kurt Busch's car.
Now let's ride along with Kurt Busch and see what he saw.
See him here, they're in the gas coming.
Outside, 3 wide, you're in the middle.
Right there.
Yeah, you could hear Kurt Busch pedaling the car.
Yeah.
Pedaling that throttle, trying to stay
Just
off
fun
of it.
here, boys. Be ready.
The racetrack really flattens out there, and you really can lose the front end of the car, especially as you're side by side and cars in front of you.
Still there, quarter. Two got us, guys. Field out there.
Yeah, you could hear that car lose traction as it just took a little bit of a tap and you lost a lot of traction. You could hear the RPMs actually go up.
See, the only real damage he had was that contact in the door from Kurt Busch.
Yeah, as long as it didn't hit a wheel or anything there, and it didn't look like it did, it looked like it's just going to be some body damage. David Reagan should be okay, but he's lost all the track position he worked hard for all day.
Well, we're going to award this move that Carl Edwards made a moment ago as our Gillette in the clutch moment. Great move by Carl Edwards to be able to miss this incident. Again, here riding along with Carl, watch what he had to do.
Whoa, man, you talk about close.
To find out how your favorite athletes prepare for success in the clutch, go to ESPN.com, search Locker Room Report. Possibly a chase-saving move there by Carl Edwards to be able to get by that incident out of turn 4.
That's what you get for closing your eyes and clenching for a minute. You get an award. That's pretty good.
The clinch and clutch award for Carl Edwards. Under caution for the 4th time, Jimmy Johnson still our leader here at Michigan. Caution for the fourth time today here at Michigan. An incident in turn 4 involving the 2 car of Kurt Busch and the 6 of David Reagan. Busch getting the worst of the 2 in terms of damage. And he is in the garage area. They're trying to get that car repaired and getting back out so he can try to hang in the top 5 or 6 in the points. We mentioned a moment ago on the lucky dog, or the free pass, was the 77 car of Sam Hornish on the previous caution. He was black flagged because you're only allowed to take fuel 1 time, and he came in and took fuel twice. So he will not get the free pass. Now on this caution, our current free pass winner is a 98 car, and that is Paul Menard. He will get the lap back and get on the lead lap. Now let's listen in on the 48 team, Jimmy Johnson. They were talking about the restart a moment ago.
This start, does the number 1 guy have to be the number 2 guy to the start-finish line? Like if he spins his tires, do I have to check up?
That's the thing where we had the discussion the other day in the drivers' meeting, where they said, don't beat him across the line. And then somebody said, well, what if he spins his tires? They said, well, we use our best judgment. They're like, well, it's okay to beat him to the line if they spin the tires. And they said, don't beat him to the line. Remember?
I thought that was more about passing somebody or pulling out. I didn't realize it was in the first 2 cars they were talking about.
The reason they're discussing it is because on the previous restart, it was very, very close. And Tony Stewart was the leader. Now watch him coming to the line. Stewart is officially the leader of the race. He has to be first to the line.
This is razor thin right here. I mean, Jimmy Johnson gets a great restart and cuts this as close as you can cut it.
And Tony Stewart had spun his tires, and we've seen it happen a couple of times. And there's really nothing definitive in NASCAR as far as their judgment. They're going to judge with each different one. What you don't want to do is put yourself in that position where you have to make them make that call. So sometimes you do have to check up, but in doing that, you take that risk of somebody running into you from behind. So it's a really touchy situation.
Yeah, we saw yesterday's race. Justin Allgaier spun his tires big time on the start and didn't get to the line first. He was the leader, but NASCAR used judgment there and did not impose a penalty.
Lots of motorsports coming your way. We've got some NHRA action. The Lucas Oil Nationals finals tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN2. NASCAR now, 1 a.m. Eastern time, wrapping up the entire weekend of NASCAR action. And of course, NASCAR now roundtable presented by the Home Depot tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN2. Next week, we head to Thunder Valley, Bristol, Tennessee. NASCAR nationwide action Friday night under the lights, 7:30 Eastern time. And of course, on Saturday night, NASCAR Sprint Cup Series action presented by Pennzoil. Our coverage beginning at 6:30 Eastern time on ESPN with NASCAR Countdown. Let's go down to Vince.
Well, Doc, this cloud cover certainly feels good, but it is the attention of Chad Knaus, the crew chief for Jimmy Johnson. He told Jimmy a rain cell is coming. He says it's going to be small, and it'll be clear behind that. But tell you what, you got to take care of the car. You got to keep an eye on the weather forecast. You do a little bit of everything when you're a crew chief. I mean, that's why he's won so many championships. Andy, you know what all that weather forecasting's like.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, it's not an exact science, so I can tell you that, Vince. You can plan on it, and sometimes it doesn't happen.
Coming down for the restart, lap 125. Mark Martin pulling right down beside the 83 car. Here comes Clint Boyer on the bottom of the racetrack.
This might not work. Look at Tony Stewart on the power move to the inside of Jimmy Johnson. I heard Jimmy spin his tires on that restart also.
So Stewart takes advantage of that spinning tire and then retakes the lead. It is Stewart, Johnson, Martin, and then Kenseth back in 4th spot. And again, Boyer down on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to go down and get by the 99 car of Carl Edwards.
You see Matt Kenseth kicking up a bunch of speedy dry down on the bottom of the racetrack. That could have been what happened on the start. A lot of cars may have gotten some of that speedy dry on their tires.
Now Jimmy Johnson trying to use that high line and sail back by Tony Stewart. Remember, Stewart only has 2 tires. Johnson took 4.
Johnson and Martin have had the strongest 2 cars all day.
And I think we'll probably see them back in the 1st and 2nd spots here, but this could really work for Tony Stewart. If he can stay up there in the top 5 or 6 spots, he was sitting there outside of the top 10, and this gives him that opportunity to get up there and race with these guys, and then they can get back to racing these guys with 4 tires on the next one.
There's 32 cars on the lead lap right now. See him racing all over the track. Here comes Carl Edwards inside of Brian Vickers.
We talk about all of those cars still in the lead lap. That's what makes things for Clint Boyer and those guys trying to get into the chase. And then Greg Biffle and Ryan Newman still kind of tedious for all of these guys because they realize they still have over 70 laps to go. And anything that could help them or hurt them, as we see Mark Martin take the second spot away from Tony Stewart.
Now we'll see if Kenseth can get underneath Stewart to take away the third position. There's Johnson, the leader. Martin going by, and the battle is side by side for third.
That's where Matt's made his car work all day, is right on the bottom of the racetrack.
Let's update the progress back in the garage on the 2 car. Jamie.
Well, it's all hands on deck back here. About 12 crew guys have replaced the entire front end of this 2 car. There is oil spewed everywhere. These guys are trying to work on it, and they're slipping and sliding. Meanwhile, Kurt Busch has remained in the car, window net up. He plans on getting back out. He came in this race 4th in points. Right now, he would slip back to 6th. Guys, I'm sure we'll see them back out in a matter of minutes.
Thanks, Jamie. Wow, Vickers slid right up in front of Carl Edwards there coming out of the corner.
It got some tight racing going on right here, and it was just a matter of inches between Stewart and Kenseth when they came off that corner as well.
See, Vickers' car's been pretty loose most of the day. He got a nice push from Carl Edwards trying to get by Tony Stewart here.
See Carl Edwards trying to go downstairs going by Stewart. Vickers in the 83 car would be shown in 14th right now, just 67 points back.
See, Vickers trying to move on up another spot and take that third spot away from Matt Kenseth.
See Clint Boyer sneaking into the picture while these guys are racing each other hard.
Yeah, and there's Jeff Gordon a part of this. Yeah, Tony's out there. The problem, as we had before, when a lot of the guys had 2 tires, Tony's the only one out there with 2 tires versus all of these guys that have 4 and good race cars too.
Jeff Gordon trying to go by and take the 6th spot away from Tony Stewart. Jimmy Johnson, by the way, is pulled away to a 1.3-second lead over Mark Martin in 2nd. Vickers 3rd. Edwards, Kenseth, Gordon. There's Jimmy Johnson. There's the margin between he and Martin.
Yeah, we haven't seen Carl Edwards flexing a lot of muscle until here just recently. I don't know if it's the thought of the rain coming or if he's just ready to go try to take charge of this race if he can.
We're hearing the 11 car, Denny Hamlin, may be coming on pit road here momentarily. Whoa, with a vibration and way up across the racetrack. Tony Stewart has his hands full.
Yes, he does. And Clint Boyer cut him a little break right there.
And David Reagan is spinning down through the grass here. Keeps it from coming back up across the racetrack.
Yeah, the caution is out.
For the 5th time, the caution, and that will be a huge break for Denny Hamlin, who had just radioed in.
But started skipping before that lap going down the back straightaway. Come in and get 4 more tires here.
Yeah, he's real lucky here 2 times in a row not to hit anything. It's hard to spin at Michigan and not hit anything.
Wow. Great job by David Reagan. So this helps Tony Stewart, who has had his hands full with a sideways car, and also helps Denny Hamlin, who apparently had a vibration and was going to have to make an unscheduled stop.
Let's watch here. He's racing with Sam Hornish.
Sam sideways. Yeah, you see Sam had to collect the car back and just barely touched Reagan again. He's been a victim in both of these spins.
Yeah.
I don't know how John Andretti missed him, but he was able to get the car wound up enough not to get into the back of the 6th car.
It's a classic case of just getting up, pulling somebody around from the outside. So it just kind of pulled Sam around, and he had to catch the car and got into the side of David Reagan.
Keep it rolling.
Hopefully they'll dust off our camera lens when they make this pit stop.
See, this thing's vibrating. He's got a flat tire there. He was trying to get back here and not tear anything up. He was successful in doing that. He's probably hoping things calm down a little bit. He had such a great day going. He ran in the top 5 most of the day.
Well, he's
starting in the back.
He's still got a car all in one piece. Maybe he can make something out of it yet. We've still got 67 laps to go. If he doesn't get spun again.
But just joined our coverage. We've had 20 different lead changes among 12 different drivers. We've had cautions for 5 times today. The latest one again, David Reagan spinning. A total of 19 laps under the yellow. The previous caution flag came out on lap 122, and that was involving the 2 car and the 6. And
well, a lot of indecision on pit road here. Some cars looking to pit.
And the 2 car ended up bouncing off the wall, and now on pit road, some cars coming in to get some fresh tires and top it off. Jamie.
Juan Pablo Montoya is one of the most unhappiest drivers I have heard. He said everything you've done to this car all day has made it worse. Now it's too tight. 4 tires and fuel, Shannon.
Tony Stewart, they're going to take those 4 tires. That last pit stop, guys, remember they got right sides only. He says that he is loose getting into the turns, cannot run with the leaders. Dave.
And Denny Hamlin only took on right side tires, said the car was a little tight in addition to a vibration that he described as grinding. So they're still trying to diagnose, was that a wheel issue or not? They didn't change 4.
A bit risky on the part of the 11 team if they had a vibration there, only taking on 2 tires.
So the top 10 cars now on the racetrack did not pit. Jimmy Johnson stayed out. Johnson, Vickers, Carl Edwards, Kenseth Gordon, Clint Boyer, David Rudiman, Brad Keselowski, and Joey Logano along with Greg Biffle. Those cars staying on the racetrack.
Carl Edwards was the one that made the last second decision to stay on the racetrack. I thought he was coming down pit road. I see a lot of the leaders just bypassing the entrance here, but then you see some of the other cars starting to look down. Kenseth looks like he wants to come down. Here comes Edwards, and he goes all the way down to the grass and nope, I believe I'll stay out.
Yeah, you could see the commitment cone there. You could even run through the grass if you wanted to there, just as long as you didn't go across that line.
They are still working there on the trying to put a whole front end on this 2 car, the Dodge. Jamie was talking about trying to put the whole front end on. It's all hands on deck down there for Penske Racing. Pat Tryson trying to get his driver, Kurt Busch, back on the racetrack. Working caution for the 5th time today here at the Carfax 400 at Michigan. Caution by on the racetrack, the 6 car David Reagan spinning here on the front straightaway. The top 10 cars stayed on the racetrack, and the discussion right now is the 99 car there. That's Carl Edwards, who saw the fake he made a moment ago to come on the pit road and then pulled back up on the racetrack.
He was right behind Brian Vickers when he made this move. See right here, he makes trying to make his decision, and then at the last second he decides not to, pulls back out, and they're saying that Kenseth gets that spot from him there. I don't understand that.
Yeah, he's supposed to be. Yeah, but he was in front of the 17, and I've never known it, and things may have changed. So, yes, things have changed. If you make that fake, then you go where you come back onto the racetrack.
Let's listen to Carl's radio.
We're going to put the 17 in front of us. Say we didn't maintain speed there, coming inside.
That's pretty weak there. I think the 17 stepped on the gas and went around us. I never slowed down, but I mean, I didn't slow down much at all.
Yeah, I'm talking to him about it. That's a bunch of crap.
Didn't cross any lines, you know what I'm saying?
It is not a commitment line violation. This is a rule that began back early in the year, and they've used it. Apparently, the rule is if you a fake on the pit road, and you must blend in where you come back up on the racetrack, which would put him in now behind the 17 car.
It's obviously something all the drivers don't know about.
Yeah. I didn't. I thought he was supposed to line up behind Vickers.
Not a
well, he is
driver
lining up behind Vickers now.
Yeah.
Here are the current standings for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year. Points are accumulated by the team who wins a race, also by fan voting and an ESPN pick. And it is Jeff Gordon, Earnhardt Jr., Stewart, and Johnson. That's the top 4 right now in the voting. Make your pick for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year by texting the car number for the pit crew you think is fastest and most valuable in each race to 2258. Standard messaging rates do apply. .137 laps in here at Michigan, 63 laps to go. Jimmy Johnson has led 5 times for 90 laps today. Is that good news or bad news? Because he dominated here back in June and didn't win the race. And last year in June he dominated and didn't win the race. And so they've seen this script before.
Yeah, I still like my chances of dominating the race. So if I've got a car that fast, I'll take my chances. And this is right now. We'll see. It could still come down to fuel mileage, but right now it's not playing out as a fuel mileage race.
Until we make that last pit stop and we're inside the pit window, it can still become a fuel mileage race.
Yeah, the cars are double file here, but we've had a little bit of rain to come over the racetrack. So they're just trying to keep everything dry and make sure that nothing got too wet before they restart them.
So we will take a break while NASCAR gets everybody lined up and lets this little shower move by and come back with a green here momentarily. Getting set for the restart here at Michigan. NASCAR Sprint Cup action. Front row, it'll be Jimmy Johnson, the leader. He will be the first car, and he will choose the outside. Mark Martin beside him. Kenseth and Vickers there. Of course, Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards. They have moved Carl Edwards back in behind the 17 car. The 14 car of Tony Stewart and others that came on the pit road. He will restart back in 24th position. Here they come, green flag. It'll be lap 141 as they come by.
You can see the one thing that may hurt Carl Edwards having us restart on the inside here in that move. We'll see how this works out for him. Mark Martin able to hang right there. Jimmy Johnson till they exit turn 2.
Look at Kyle Busch. Man, he has made up some ground here. This is as high as he's been all day long.
From 39th starting spot, Kyle Busch. And look at the 24 car. Jeff Gordon trying to go to the bottom side of his teammate Martin.
And Matt Kenseth able to make the outside pass on Mark Martin for the second spot as they came off of turn 2.
Well, look at the action back in the pack. Montoya moving down across the racetrack, and Mears trying to get out of his way, and Montoya gets sideways.
Look at Montoya get straight sideways on the straightaway.
Be steady. Got a flat tire, guys. Just hold it right there in the middle. Let them come around. Clear. Get ready.
Wow.
Left rear flat for Montoya.
That was about to be big. Here comes Mark Martin back on Matt Kenseth. Jeff Gordon right on his bumper.
Now we're going to follow Montoya here, see if his tire stays on. If that thing comes apart, we'll have a caution. And it does. It starts coming apart.
Right there.
Chunks of the tire coming off there.
Keep coming.
See, there's a big piece of the tire that's hung on the car.
Leaders now in turn 1, coming to turn 2. Montoya just coming off 4.
I lost the brake line.
Saying he lost a brake line there. That is wrapped around that probably is what it's hung on.
Yeah, it's knocked the brake line off the rear end housing. Here goes Gordon on the inside of Martin.
And he will take the third spot away.
Jeff Gordon's got a great car today.
Yeah, he does. But how about Kyle Busch? Wow, what a run. He struggled for the big part of this race. We've got some cloud cover, maybe helping his car right now.
He made a pit stop, a short pit. His car was so bad during one of those green flag runs that he pitted early. Jamie?
Pablo Montoya made it safely into his pit box. They said it was the 9 and Casey Kane who got into him and cut that left rear tire. It's going to be 4 tires here. You see them in the back there. They're trying to fix that brake line that Andy was talking about. They're going to fill it up with fuel while they're at it. Guys, big loss for this team. They finished in the top 12 the last 9 races. He is down and away.
Let's show you what happened. You heard Jamie talking about the splitter on the 9 car. Now watch the 42 and the 9 come together there.
Yep, sure did. Man, that's too bad for Montoya. He's really kind of minding his own business, and it really didn't look intentional by no means, but still cost him a lot.
Jeff Gordon now going for second position, and he will take his teammate Martin right along with him as they go by Kenseth.
And there comes Martin trying to take that spot away from Jeff Gordon.
I think it's going to be hard for Martin to get by Jeff Gordon. I think Jeff Gordon's got as good a car as Martin does at this point.
Yeah. And back to Montoya's situation.
Pretty damn good.
Just what we talked about. There's still 32 cars on the lead lap. And with his trying to get into the chase, it's going to take a big hit here.
Right now, he has slid all the way back to 11th position. He's lost 4 spots in the points. We're talking about Montoya here.
See, man, they're using that racetrack up against that wall. We do have a caution. It's for rain this time.
Caution.
It's like a little small shower.
There's Juan Pablo Montoya being shown a lap down in 35th position. Now, there's only 3 cars a lap down, Hornish, Ambrose, and Montoya. So he's got to pass 2 more to be able to get that free pass.
And the only thing that could benefit him here, Andy, I don't know if these other guys are going to come in, but if they do happen to come in, he might get the wave around and actually get back on the lead lap here.
And be able to stay on the racetrack and get that lap back.
Yeah, I think the problem with that is going to be he's going to be behind some other cars that don't pit. He may not be in front of the leader when they do take the green.
Little pop-up shower. You see that little green spot right over the racetrack. Not much in the area. Unfortunately, what little is there just happened to come right over us.
And it's dissipating as it comes over, so it looks like this may not last long.
These guys still aren't in a window as far as pitting that we were talking about. They're still not there yet.
No, they're still just outside of that. And Jimmy's got a little bit of debris on his grill here.
Like he might have just shut it off, maybe coasted along there trying to save a little fuel.
Well, they don't know how long they'll keep him out there running around under caution.
Lap 146. Remember, back in June, these guys pitted on lap 153 and tried to make it the final, 47 laps. They made it 46 and a half.
Well, one thing that would work is if you tried to pit here and had a bunch of cautions to the end, you might be able to make it. The only problem with that is the tires are worth so much that if you tried to use that strategy after having a lot of cautions, you might lose it anyway.
There are 32 cars still on the lead lap. Jimmy Johnson, our leader, under caution for the 6th time today.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Carfax 400 at Michigan International Speedway is presented by Carfax and in part by the Home Depot. Visit homedepot.com. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot.
And as we work the 6th caution of the race for rain, we remind you that later tonight on ESPN, it's Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. Ryan Howard and the Phillies take on Chipper Jones and the Braves. That's at 8 Eastern time tonight. Then tomorrow, it's Monday Night Baseball presented by Holiday Inn. Late night, ESPN 2 at 10 Eastern. Albert Pujols and the St. Louis Cardinals take on Manny Ramirez and the Dodgers in Los Angeles. ESPN News shown in St. Louis and Los Angeles. Major League Baseball on ESPN and ESPN 360. For more, log on to ESPN.com. So we work caution about 3/4 of the way through this race. The chase bubble's been a big story on the day. Some guys doing really well.
Oh yeah, Kyle Busch has got himself all the work up to the top 5 right now, and he's 13th in the points, and he's been doing a great job all day long. Of late, he's getting better.
That's a nice save Kyle had earlier in the race. Now Kurt Busch, who came into the race in the top 5 in points, hasn't had such a good day.
Kurt Busch, one of the stronger cars all day long. Thought he was going to have a good chance to even win this race today. Got into David Reagan there a little bit, or at least it looked like they got together, and he's tore up.
Juan Pablo Montoya, 7th in points starting the day.
Yeah, he was running a good, safe race on top 10s. He and Casey Kane got together there a little bit. Casey's splitter cut his left rear tire and put him way back. 32 cars on the lead lap.
And Montoya right now a lap down in 35th place, hoping to get that one back. Ryan Newman has had some troubles in this race as well. And right now, see, watch that front splitter again as Casey Kane slides over into Montoya.
Ooh, I tell you what, that splitter, guys, has been a story all year long. There's been a lot of flat tires from the splitter. Cutting tires down has been a tough deal.
Speaking of splitter, let's head over to the Craftsman Tech Garage and talk to Tim Brawl. I bet that's what you want to show us, right, Tim?
Thanks, guys. Hey, you got 2 valve stems. This controls the inner liner. This one's the outer. And when the tire actually comes up against the splitter, it actually jumps in here. See how sharp this area is? Actually cuts the valve stem right out of the wheel.
It happens. All right, pit stops. Looks like most all of the leaders are coming down pit road for stops, Vince.
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson is already in. They've changed the right sides now over to the left. Jimmy says the car's a little bit neutral. They're happy with it. A little debris on the grill. They've cleaned it off and away for Jimmy. Shannon?
Jeff Gordon in that 24 car says that the car is a little bit tight. You guys saw him. He looked great on the racetrack, but he is struggling in turn 1. They're going to take 4 tires. As far as Mark Martin is concerned, he said the car is good. It just needs to turn a little bit better. 4 tires and a wedge adjustment. 14 seconds on the 5 car.
A race off of pit road, and look at the 2 tires for Vickers and McMurray up 10 spots.
Yeah, you see Stewart, he gets 13 spots by not taking any tires. Remember, he just got 4 tires under that last caution.
And Jeff Gordon lost 9 positions. DJ taking 4, and Mark Martin back 6 spots, taking 4 as well.
Yeah, different strategies once again. This could be interesting as we still have 51 laps to go in this race. I like my 4 tires because that gives me a chance maybe 2 under green if I have to stop.
Yeah, but what happened was that last caution when you saw the top 10 or 12 stay out and the rest of them came, that just changed the whole strategy for everybody. And you see Stewart now cycling back and getting some of that track position back that he had stolen earlier.
So those that had not been on pit road have come on. David Rudiman and Joey Logano have yet to come in. They're being shown 1-2 here at lap 149. Back in Michigan under caution again here for the 6th time today, and more cars now coming on the pit road. The 44 of Allmendinger in, the 25 of Keselowski. Saw David Reagan sitting there.
This is probably a fuel mileage gamble for Keselowski in a few cars.
Lap 151. The guys who made it back in June pitted on lap 153.
Yeah, 49 laps is not a stretch. I mean, it can be done. I mean, it would be a stretch, but it's not undoable.
Guys, a lot of thinking down there about the fuel strategy. 49 laps from now, these guys that came in, Keselowski and company, could they make it?
I think they can make it, guys. I really do. I mean, as a driver, I'm going to go out there and just really feather this thing getting into corners. I'm going to be in a mindset to save all the gas I possibly can, still keep up, still try to run for to keep the car up in competition, but there are ways to save gas as a driver right now.
And guys, I mean, I know the 49 lap thing isn't, but the guy that I've been watching, and again, watching that fuel mileage, and I know he could go 47 laps before, is Kevin Harvick, because he was the guy that was going to go to the 100 lap mark. I'd be watching the children's cars. They historically get good mileage. Kevin knows how to save. I think he can make it from here.
And we were watching in the break there that Jimmy Johnson was actually shutting his car off, trying to save fuel under this caution. Shannon?
Hey guys, the 24 of Jeff Gordon, he went 46 laps on a fuel run in June. The team has said that they are going for it, and polling the rest of the guys on my section, sounds like they're all going for it, although they're just a couple laps short.
I think with all these strategies, we're going to have another caution and all that's out the window.
If they make it, they get these guys, Gordon and Johnson, got to go 51 laps. It's going to be interesting. Green flag back here at Michigan. David Rudiman is the leader.
Man, look at Logano go to the apron.
Teammates there arguing over some position.
While they're doing that, look at Junior working the top. Here he comes. He's going to have a run off turn 2.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to get to the high side where he's been running all day long, and he will go by Rudiman out of turn 2 down the backstretch.
That's something we hadn't said in a while. Dale Jr. trying to go for the lead right here.
Tony Stewart backing up a little bit, lost 6 positions. Rudiman now fighting back, trying to hold on to that lead out of turn 4.
Wow, we got a great race. These guys are 2x2, 3x3 some. Everybody, 4 wide.
Cars in the back.
Junior's able to take that front spot. Here comes Logano to the outside.
See, Jimmy Johnson is trapped behind some of these cars now. He's going to have to start working his way through traffic. He's behind Bill Elliott on the backstretch.
Well, Joey Logano was completely sideways coming out of turn 2 a minute ago. The rookie driver making only his 2nd Cup start here at this racetrack.
He had a nice run, and he wasn't backing out of the throttle just because there's a wall coming up.
And the Junior Nation are on their feet here. They haven't had a lot to yell about this year, but they are loving the fact that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is leading this race here at Michigan.
He hasn't led a race since Talladega, so he's giving his fans something to cheer about here at Michigan. Dave?
And guys, this car has been good all weekend. In fact, this morning, Lance McGrew, his crew chief, told me they actually expected a lot more out of qualifying than they got, starting 15th. The car was too loose for Junior, but now they've got it back underneath him, and the car has been balanced throughout today. They've just been making small changes. And remember, they had that issue earlier where they had to pit under green early for a vibration. So good news for Junior. He, of course, will have to pit a little bit later on. Shannon?
Behind him, Joey Logano, was a little bit of a misunderstanding. He thought he wasn't in his fuel window. He stayed out, brakes at the belly, apparently told him to pit with the leaders. So, guys, I'm looking at my calculations. He should have to pit around lap 160 as he battles Junior right now, guys.
Logano trying to make the pass, and Junior saying, it's been so long since I've been up here, I want to stay here a while. But don't look now, behind him, the 83 car, Brian Vickers is on the move, and so is the 48 car. Let's see if Logano can get him now in turn 3.
These are some of the fastest lap times we've seen today.
Yeah, I think the racetrack's cooled down quite a bit between a little bit of rain and we've got some cloud cover. Now we're seeing these guys really get after it, too.
Again, Dale Earnhardt Jr. will have to make another pit stop because he pitted last on lap 134. His last victory came here 43 races ago in June of 2008.
Jimmy Johnson makes another pass on Ruderman. He's the biggest mover since the restart.
See Matt Kenseth coming on the bottom on the inside of Denny Hamlin.
Mark Martin is there as well. You see Johnson up 10 spots. Martin and Hornish both up 7. Edwards there. And Jeff Gordon in the middle of a 3-wide sandwich.
That's not exactly what he wants to be, but he's able to clear himself of that right now.
He's just looking for a hole, somewhere to take that momentum.
Bill Elliott up there in the 21 car.
Uh-oh, contact. Trouble. Yeah, this is going to be trouble, guys.
And Strimmy spins it. So far, no contact. There's Ambrose getting by.
Always straight.
Man, Allmendinger does a great job.
And caution again.
No good.
Who was it said we're going to have another caution and all this fuel strategy is going to go away?
I think it was DJ.
Well, you just had to know. You're getting down to time. The racetrack's cooling off. These guys are running hard. We've got cars up here that haven't been up here, and they're doing a great job. But the racing's just so close after these restarts and so tight. See Strimmy get right here. Jeff Burton gets a little bit loose. Strimmy gets into him, and then Boyer's able to get him. Well, how about the free pass here, guys?
Juan Pablo Montoya gets the free pass, and we'll get back on the lead lap. What a huge break for that 42 team.
Yeah, that is a huge break to give them an opportunity. Right along right here with Clint Boyer. He had a little luck on his side there, even though he had some bad luck earlier.
Not only does he dodge the wreck, he gets the lap back. So he got a double break there for Juan Pablo Montoya, who came into the day 7th in the point standings. Right now he's being shown 10th in the standings, just 83 points ahead of the 13th position. It is very, very close.
Okay, speaking of close, we're now inside the fuel window. Everybody could make it from here. We'll see who is going to stay out and who's going to try to come in and get fuel here.
Wouldn't you think most everybody's going to come in and get a splash here just not to take any chances?
Yeah, but it's a chance to steal a little track position. We saw a lot of cars that topped off on the one to go the last time. If they felt like they could make it under green, we've got some caution laps here that would ensure they could make it. Heck, if they're going to gamble, might as well stay out here and gamble.
It's not going to be a long caution, though. I mean, he didn't really hit anything. They're picking up a little bit here. I would think that just a lap in the
We're just going to play this out here. I think if we go another 20 laps at green, we'll get most other guys to pit with us if caution comes out. So just stay out here.
That sounds like Jimmy Johnson staying out.
Yeah, but I don't think the leaders are. Looks like Junior's coming in.
Stay out.
Yeah, I think I'd have pitted there.
I would have. That's taking a chance on getting caught out here without enough fuel.
Of course, that's easy for us to say up here. It doesn't really make any difference. We're right or wrong. Jamie?
Well, it worked out for him so far. They said that they're in their fuel window, as you guys said. 4 tires tearing a tear off that front windshield, and the 20 is down and away. Shannon?
Jamie, Tony Stewart said he has nothing to lose by coming down. He says he's having trouble getting into the turns. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment on all 4 tires and 1.5 rounds down on the track bar. Dave.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. hated giving up the lead, but they understand. Fill it full of fuel, 4 tires, slight chassis adjustment, and they can make it to the end from here.
So these guys should be okay with no worries whatsoever on fuel. They got some tires, and they're that the guys that didn't come in, well, got a little bit of figuring to do.
I'd be a little nervous. This thing could go green to the finish. You see Jimmy Johnson's a little nervous. He shut his car off.
Happened to us in Phoenix a couple years ago, how we were able to pull that thing out, get a little lead. Those guys started falling off. We were able to back off our pace.
Maybe there's modern math, but back in June, they couldn't go 47 laps. And right now they're trying to go 51.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem for them.
Yeah, I would have really thought they'd at least got that little splash of gas. And you know, they've got a fast enough race car to do all of this. They're definitely, I think they're talking the way they're talking, they're going to have to pit at some point in time. They're thinking they can get out there far enough, but I don't know.
Okay, now Jimmy Johnson's shutting his car off right here, and you see a lot of cars moving around. And
Kevin Harvick doing the same thing. Just got a little bit of throttle going, not much.
You risk giving up your spot in line if you don't keep it up here, though. They shut them off and let them coast too far.
I don't think they're going to do too much of that because I think Vickers is shutting his off in front of them. So
it's hard to pass with your engine shut off. Yeah, you see Harvick, he's going to give it just a little bit of speed. He's going 79 miles an hour, shuts it off. Now he's just going to coast a little bit. You see he's going past Kenseth. I'm sure Kenseth is doing the same thing. If they're going to try to make 51 laps, it's going to be tough for them if we don't get another caution.
Yeah, that one car I saw on pit road again there was the 14 car. Tony's not going to come in unless he's going to get 4 more tires. But our leader right now is Brian Vickers. What are they saying down there, Dave?
Well, in June, they played the strategy of pitting under the last caution and then racing slowly to the end of the race and coming up with a 9th place finish. They didn't have to go in for a splash. So Ryan Pemberton has decided they're going to up that up a little bit, and they are not going to come back in. He says, I need 3 laps from you, Brian. He told Brian, I need those long gears. And Brian said, long gears? It's not even in gear.
But now, let's talk about this for a second. Vickers is now 13th in the points. He is just 36 points out of being in the chase. I mean, if you don't come back in and run out of gas here, you could be done.
Well, he's taking a chance. He's in that position to roll the dice here, see if he can get in. And if it works for him, they'll be brilliant. If it doesn't, you know, it didn't. They're still out.
Yeah, what we were hearing Chad Canal say though was he was saying, if we can get these guys and we can run about 20 more laps,
that's a big if.
Then get a caution and get the rest of them, follow them down pit road. That's what I'm saying. You got a fast race car. Why do you put yourself in that position? But they've won 3 straight championships.
They're going to show us why we're wrong.
It's just our job to question. You know, that's what we're here for.
Guys, give a call to Sam Hornish, being shown in 11th position, trying to get yet another top 10 here for the Penske team. Restart, Vickers and Johnson, row 1. Vickers the leader.
Jimmy Johnson just beat Brian Vickers to the line right there.
Yeah, that's 2 real close calls there on that 48 car.
That wasn't even close.
3 wide, now 4 wide in turn 2.
Jimmy Johnson definitely beat him to the line.
Be careful around Casey Kane. He's already got into the side of 42 car one time, and he's right up on the side of Scott Speed.
They don't have much room back there right now.
Kevin Harvick, the best run he has had in a month and a half here, running in 3rd position, but right now getting a position taken away by Kenseth.
Look at these guys coming off of 4 here, though. 2, 3, 4 wide.
Gordon and McMurray battling for a spot back there. That's for 6th spot. Dale Earnhardt Jr. now going to the middle of the racetrack, trying to battle his way up through. He can just throttle it. He doesn't have to worry about fuel at all.
Joey Logano, another one of those cars. We see Mark Martin and Kevin Harvick splitting the 17 car.
Brian Vickers is out about 5 or 6 car lengths on Jimmy Johnson and the rest of these cars.
See Mark Martin get a nice run up off the bottom to get up beside of Kevin Harvick. They don't look like they're saving much fuel right here.
Kevin Harvick only 1 top 10 finish the last 18 races. That was a 6th at Indianapolis in this very car. Now he gets passed by the 5 car of Martin to take the 3rd spot away.
Look at Logano working the bottom, and now here's Clint Boyer and Jeff Gordon side by side.
That's for 6th position. Again, Clint Boyer trying to battle his way in the chase, now being shown 83 points back in 15th position. Jimmy Johnson reeling in Brian Vickers up there about a car length back.
See Jimmy go to the high side. That's where Vickers has been running most of the day. A lot of times as things cool off on the racetrack, and turns 1 and 2 have a lot of shade on them right now, you can utilize that bottom a little bit more. You get more grip. It actually helps you to accelerate off the corner too. As we see, here comes Jeff Gordon on the inside of Matt Kenseth.
Now you see Vickers on the high side, Johnson on the bottom in 3 and 4.
So battle for 5th on the left side of your screen, battle for the lead on the right. Let's update the 83. Dave.
Doc, as you watch that battle with Jimmy Johnson, Brian Vickers had not been able to run the bottom in 1 and 2, as you saw on the previous lap. Johnson will now go by, and Vickers will go back to the high side, but they made an air pressure adjustment that actually helped him to do that. And Pemberton told me this morning, the crew chief, that he'd be able to run all over the track, so they've adjusted the car to where he can work both lines right now in the 83, just not quite as good as the 48, I guess.
Yeah, he's doing it well. That 48 car is just a little too strong for him right now.
Another Childress car to 33 of Boyer now trying to battle with Kenseth. That's for the 6th position. Well, look at the line difference for these two guys. One on the bottom of the track and one up near the wall. Vince?
The 33 of Clem Boyers, you see him battling on the inside there with Matt Kenseth, who's on the outside. Boyers' car is really loose. Kenseth's trying to conserve fuel, so it's an interesting confrontation between the two of these cars. You've documented how Boyers made his move up and is starting to close in on the gap in regards to the chase, and this is what they wanted to do, score a solid top 10 today and put some pressure on those other teams that are around the bubble. And they feel as though if they can do that on a consistent basis over the next couple of races, they'll make the chase. So far, so good today.
Where did Carl Edwards come in between these guys? They were on the bottom and the top, and Carl coming in the middle.
And Sam Hornish lurking right behind them.
What a great battle there for these guys here. 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th right together.
Yeah, Carl Edwards able to clear them as they come off of turn 2 now.
And behind these guys, the 07, good run for Casey Mears. He's in the top 10 in the 07 car. And behind him, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 11.
He's got those fresh tires. You see Logano right behind Jr. Looks like about a 4-wide battle back there.
Tell you what, guys, I've been watching Jimmy Johnson and Vickers out there running. I don't know if at this point, I think what I'd be doing, man, I'd be following Vickers. If I was Johnson running out of gas last time, get behind Vickers, roll out that throttle, save a little bit of gas, you know, use that draft. Right now, he's up front just burning all the gas he possibly can, just out there running wide open. Look at the big gap behind Brian Vickers. I use that, guys, to try to save some fuel. Save it now so you can use it later if you need to. Look at that gap. I mean, Ray, I got to tell you, that's what I'd be doing, buddy.
Yeah, it'll help them some. I don't know how close they are. We heard Chad say that they were hoping with a caution with about 20 to go to get everybody to pit, so they might not be able to make it with a 48 car.
Well, and guys, they're encouraging Chad Knaus on the radio to Jimmy Johnson, encouraging him in regards to his lead and telling him, roll out of the throttle when you can. Save us everything that you can save. But be conscious of who's behind you as you see Chad Knaus on the right, keeping a close eye on his driver, Jimmy Johnson.
He's watching these laps click off, and he's getting more nervous the more laps that click, and he thinks that this thing may go green.
So the interval now 0.7 of a second between Vickers and Johnson. There's the 5-car, Mark Martin back in 3rd position. Shannon.
Well, guys, the team is telling me Mark Martin is 3 laps short, but remember, he won this race here in June using fuel strategy, something he is remembering. This is what he said on the radio.
Saving everything I can. What's that, Mark? Saving all I can, about like last time. At 10-4, bud. We're a little short here. If I need a caution about lap 180, that'd be nice. Do you want me to save or go? Just save right now. The 24 is the only thing that's going to get you.
Mark Martin just radioed in, told Alan Gustafson to tell him, talk to him every lap, tell him what he's doing. He said, do not leave this on my shoulders. Don't leave me out here alone. Tell me if what I'm doing is right. And you see Alan Gustafson on the right-hand side coaching his driver along.
Okay, here's the problem, though. See, if he cannot make it, he doesn't need to let cars pass him right here. He needs to try to keep that track position. And only if he's got a chance of making it to the finish does he need to try to save fuel and maybe give up a spot or two.
The 88 car coming. We saw him get right up against the wall a couple laps ago running. Watch him go all the way up across the racetrack.
He's got plenty of fuel. He's got 4 tires, and all he's doing, he's on offense right now trying to get all the spots he can. And he's come up 8 spots since lap 161 there. Now he's inside the top 10.
This is the best race car they have, the one they qualified 3rd at Indianapolis, the brand new Lance McGrew built Hendrick car. They thought they might have something for him today. Didn't practice well, didn't qualify that well, but as the races progressed, DJ, this car has gotten better and better.
Yeah, and it seems like maybe the track's coming to him too, and so it's helping him out. Only problem that he might have as he works his way up is some of these other guys running that same line. That seems to be the only place that he can really make past. You see the 07 now go to the bottom of the racetrack.
Right now, Junior is the highest running car that has enough fuel for sure to make it to the end. The rest of the cars is very iffy and probably not going to make it, a lot of them.
So we saw 2 cars back in June run out of fuel on the white flag lap. And right now, Junior running in 9th. Could we see 8 cars? Because there's a bunch of guys in front of him that I don't not think are going to make it.
Yeah, he's going to pass more than that, though. He has a fast race car right here. So as these other guys are having to backpedal some, whether or not they're going to make it, Junior can go wide open, just like you said, Andy. Dave?
And one more interesting thing. Remember when he came down pit road, I said he didn't want to give up the lead. His actual words to Lance McGrew were, "I'm not sure I understand your logic on this." So he really wasn't sure that Lance was making the right call. But as you said, he's the one out there right now who can go racing with full fuel.
He's looking good now. I'll tell you, that's a good decision by Lance McGrew.
He just
Junior in a good spot right here.
Sorry, Andy, he just gained 2 spots there.
Hit 4. Take care of it, man. You're doing awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes the driver, you don't really understand everything that's going on because you don't know all the different scenarios as we look at the fuel window here. Look at Junior. He's good to go here. These other guys, I'm pretty sure, aren't going to be able to make it, but he's still passing a lot of cars on top of that.
Yeah, he's in 8th spot, still passing cars.
Well, there are still 34 cars on the lead lap, and you can ill afford to run out of fuel here because you will get an abysmal finish at this racetrack, and that could be a real problem for anybody trying to make the chase.
Yeah, we're here. Martin may let the 99 car go to try to save some fuel, but that's where he wants to kind of ride behind Carl Edwards. If it's, Gustafson needs to tell him if they think they can make it, then he needs to keep conserving. But if he can't, they need to just, run as hard as they can here.
Kyle Busch began today 39th on the starting grid, but 13th in the point standings. Right now, he is back in 14th position, 79 points back. Now, on the racetrack, the 18 car is being shown 15th.
Well, we saw him make a run up into the top 5 or 6 earlier on, but as he's gotten back in traffic, you see the car kick out just a little bit there. He hasn't been able to make up many spots. As we go back to Junior, they've called Kevin Harvick here. He and Sam Hornish, as he goes by Kevin Harvick, takes over that 6th spot.
That's a couple more spots for Dale Earnhardt Jr. if he can get by both these guys.
I think this is Junior's race to win if the caution doesn't come out. I really do. He's got a fast car. He's got enough fuel. He may even get up there close enough to even pass Jimmy Johnson, especially if Jimmy and Brian Vickers and Jeff Gordon have to start pedaling to save fuel.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s last victory 43 races ago right here at Michigan in June of 2008. Now, he did it that day on fuel mileage.
Well, that's about the only way he's going to get beat, if somebody ahead of him can make it. He has enough fuel.
Hornish being shown in 6th spot. Dale Earnhardt Jr. 7th. They've already gone by Harvick in 8th.
Junior making that pass, though, and Sam Hornish take that spot away. He's up into the 6th spot now.
You saw the interval. Jimmy Johnson going by as the leader. There's the interval back to Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Sam Hornish. So it is Jimmy Johnson the leader, Brian Vickers 2nd, Jeff Gordon now being shown in 3rd position. Shannon.
Yeah, guys, Jeff Gordon's crew chief of their team told me they were about 3 to 4 laps short, but Steve Letarte just told Jeff Gordon to get to the front. He said, we came here to win this race. So he is making a move while some of the other guys in the top 5 are being conservative. Now, this team's 3rd in the points coming into this race. Of course, Jimmy Johnson, he's in a place where he can clinch a chase berth. But guys, some of the other teams, Mark Martin, was this a gamble that you would have taken when you're looking at just trying to get into the chase?
Well, it is a big gamble for Mark Martin on fuel because he could, like you say, fall back to in the 30s if he doesn't make it. On the other hand, if he gets another win, he gets a top seed. It's kind of a really a big gamble for him.
Yeah, if you look at take the 3 guys in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd right here. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, yeah, they're in good enough spot they can take this gamble. Brian Vickers is trying to work his way in there, probably can take that gamble too. Mark Martin, where he restarted this, I think I'd have had to come to pit road.
Again, what we're talking about, folks, as you watch this battle, Joey Logano and Greg Biffle, the chase is NASCAR's version of the playoffs. After this race, there are just 3 races remaining to get in the top 12 in points, and which is the playoff. That's what these guys are trying to get in the top 12 here in the point standings.
Logano may have just touched the wall a little bit.
Yeah, he's driving that thing for everything it's worth, too. He has enough fuel to go to the end here. You can see him coming up on Matt Kenseth. Kenseth is in the 11th spot right now.
You're looking at lap times. Mark Martin is about 6/10 of a second slower than Junior, who was running right behind him. He looks like he may be pedaling his car to save fuel.
You heard Shannon say they told Martin he needed 5 laps. Now back in June, or he needed 3 laps. Back in June they told him he needed 4 laps, and he somehow made the 4 laps he had to make to get to the finish line and win the race.
Tell you what, 6 miles is a lot of saving to do whenever you get down. You're talking about a gallon of gas there, a little more than that. So I don't know. That's a lot to save as a driver and try to hold your position too.
Look at Junior, man. He is letting her hang out.
Willing it, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
His lap times are just a little bit quicker than what the leaders are right now. He's most of the time being a tenth and a half faster than the guys running first, second, and third.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has only 1 top 5 finish the entire 2009 season. That came at Talladega, where he finished second in that wild finish.
He's knocked a second off Jimmy Johnson's lead that he had over him. It was over 5.5 seconds, and now it's just getting right there at about 4.5 seconds. He's coming.
Going by Mark Martin to take it, that would put him in the 5th place.
He's going to be able to take this spot away because Mark, all he can do right now is try to save as much and make something out of it where he doesn't have to come to pit road before this is over unless we have a caution.
That was for the 5th spot now. Junior in the top 5.
There, all the way back around, you see there's Jimmy Johnson and Brian Vickers, 1-2, just about 1 turn away from where you see Earnhardt coming in a hurry.
It won't be long. Jimmy Johnson will see that 88
Probably
coming.
a lap short, even saving under them yellows. We just got to see what happens, man. Keep running.
Doesn't sound like he's too confident.
I was just getting ready to ask if you're Chad Canal, so what are you thinking right now?
I'm nervous. I'm very nervous right now.
That was Steve Letarte talking to Jeff Gordon a moment ago. But if you're Chad Canals, you're nervous. And if you're the guys there, Ryan Pemberton and Vickers pitch, you're very nervous. He's trying to get in the chase. Wow.
Yeah, Vickers has worked himself into a nice position right here. Yeah, it'd be a real shame if something were to happen, if they were to run out of fuel here and end up taking a car that they ran in the top 5 all day.
Well, it's a gamble. They are willing to roll the dice to try to get the best finish they can and try to get in this chase with just a few races left. This is just the kind of gamble they need to take.
They've had fast race cars all year long. 6 poles, a series leading 6 poles. And there is Steve Letarte. He helped lead Jeff Gordon to victory lane at Texas, breaking a 47 race winless streak. Gordon hadn't won here in almost 10 years.
You see that shot right there? Junior's coming.
Yeah, he's about 4/10 faster the previous lap than what our leader Jimmy Johnson was. In fact, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the only car running in the 41-second bracket. He was at a 41.92 the previous lap.
He's coming. If he doesn't knock the ball down, he is right next to it.
Got to believe he's saying, if we stay green, folks, I'm going to win this thing.
He's got 16 laps.
Sports Center coming up next. Following our coverage here, our live coverage at Michigan, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has the fuel to go to the finish. But the guys in front of him may not. But right now, he doesn't make much difference. He has the fastest car on the racetrack.
Now he's under 4 seconds behind Jimmy Johnson. Still coming. A couple of Roush teammates, and then you got the 00 of David Ruderman.
I think Kenseth's just trying to hold on right here. This is another guy trying to hold his chase spot. He's trying to save fuel. He's losing quite a few spots.
Yeah, he's already
barely
back.
Gets into the wall right there out of turn 4.
He's already back to 13th spot.
Based on normal calculations, the first, second, third, and fourth cars would have to go 51 laps on a tank of fuel. No one has done that here at Michigan today. But the car running 5th, Dale Earnhardt Jr., has plenty of fuel. And this all matters of what happens in front of him. Dave.
And Doc, they have told him that you are 4/10 of a second faster per lap than the guys in front of you, and they're saving fuel. DJ, if you were told that, would that be like putting the whip to you and say, come on, go get it?
That's just what you want to hear. Exactly. Those guys are having to save fuel. They can't speed up or they're going to run out again. So you've got 2 ways to win this race. You catching them on the racetrack, and they're probably going to run out of fuel anyway. So, yeah, Junior's probably up on the wheel right now. Probably a little smile on his face, I'd say.
Man, if I was on that pit box with Lance McGrew, I'd say, go get them, guys. Man, it's in your windshield. It's all right there. Got plenty of fuel. This is your race to win, buddy.
Yeah, just right now you really just don't want to make a mistake, and he hasn't done that. He's doing a great job. Gosh, he's running so close to the wall. If he makes a little mistake, it's not going to hurt much.
13 to go, man. Everyone's saving fuel there. They're starting to pedal in front even more. Can't do it, man. Keep digging.
Looks like Vickers might catch Johnson here and get this lead, too.
I think Jimmy's really trying to save fuel. I'm not sure what Vickers' plan is here. He might just be running as hard as he can and get as much as they can.
Yeah, Vickers a couple tenths faster than Johnson last lap.
Remember, both Edwards and Gordon in 3rd and 4th are running on empty as well. And back in June, Jimmy Johnson tried to stay in front of Greg Biffle and ran himself out of gas. Vince.
Well, Jimmy Johnson certainly knows that they are up against it, and Chad Knaus just told Jimmy, he said everybody else is going to be really close or going to run out. He said, but the 88 has enough to the end, and he's coming strong. Jimmy Johnson just came back and said, I'm lifting big time, trying to save you everything I can. There's going to be a meeting at the end. There's no doubt about it. The 88 is charging, and the 48 knows it.
Another guy sitting in a good spot, Joey Logano, also has enough fuel. He's just moved inside the top 10. Right there, you can see Junior. He's got his sights set on Edwards now.
Let's get more on Vickers' day.
So I just remember Brian Vickers' goal was to save 2.5 laps. Now that's a revision from the earlier 3, which means, Brian, you have a little more fuel to go racing with. In June, they passed cars at the beginning of the restart of that long run, and then they held their position in 10th. Remember, he was the restart leader, so he's been able to stay up there and just hang around and save fuel, and now maybe race Jimmy for the win.
Hey, one thing that's making these guys use, I see some smoke coming out of Johnson's car right there. See just a little bit of smoke, maybe it's bottoming out, but one thing Junior is doing right now is he's making these guys run harder than they really want to run, because they can't back off too much or Junior will just pass them.
Yeah, they've actually picked their lap times back up now.
And that'll use fuel.
Yes.
Brian Vickers hasn't won a race. He's in 87 starts. Talladega, October of 2006. If he can hang on, that would be huge for that team.
And Mark Martin, you'll see he's lost touch completely with these leaders. He is really trying to save fuel.
And Vickers right now can get up here and draft a little bit, and he can save a little bit more fuel just running right behind Jimmy Johnson at this point in time.
A little while longer, bud. Stay with him for a little while longer.
That's Knaus telling him to stay out front just a little longer. Yeah, that thing with Vickers, it's kind of a double whammy. He can make him use more fuel to put pressure on. Here comes Junior. He's going to get this spot from Edwards.
That would put him in 3rd, 4th position. So there he's in 4th spot with 10 laps to go.
How many laps is Jimmy going to stay out front here and try to hold Vickers off?
Yeah, I think Vickers is doing a great job here. Like you said, Andy, he's put some pressure on him, but he's also able to save fuel right there. He wouldn't have to be wide open running down, staying that close. He might be in a better spot than what we thought. He might be the one guy that had saved enough and be close enough here.
He's running that high line, though. That high line uses a little bit more fuel.
Yeah, but you can run that high line and let your car roll a lot further, too, and you don't have to get back in the gas. So you can kind of pedal it around that corner, as you have to do anyway in doing that. You can't just get wide open from the start. You have to get your car pointed in the right direction. It looks like he wants to lead now, though.
Vickers up on the outside. Johnson, whoa, bobbles and slides up in front of him.
You need to save about 2.5 laps of fuel. If you think you saved us that much, you just stay ahead of him, bud. 8 laps to go, man. Keep on digging.
These guys are a lot closer than what we actually thought, I believe. I mean, I thought they were going to be 4 or 5 laps short and weren't going to have any chance, but they're talking 2.5 laps, so may be possible.
Again, back in June, Jimmy Johnson ran out of fuel, leading the race, coming down to the white flag. Let's listen to the 24 radio.
Oh, yeah, here we go. That's who I need. Yeah, 10-4. Just watch him here. The 88 is my concern. Up the 99, the 88. He's coming like a bat out of hell up at the top, all the way to the wall. I mean, I don't have a whole lot left, so if he's got fresh tires, you know, and he catches, we're done. It's fine. Just do the best you can. Just keep doing the best you can, man. That's all we can do.
And that's all you can do. Go as hard as you can.
There's the 88, 3 Hendrick cars in the top 4 here at Michigan.
Now Johnson and Vickers have slowed down some more here from what they were running. I don't know if that's calculated or if their tires were just giving up at this point.
They can't slow down anymore. Junior's going to catch them. If they slow down, they have already slowed down, like I said, a couple of tenths. That may be enough in these next 7 laps for Junior to catch them and pass them.
Junior's still about 2.6 seconds back.
Well, they could easily see him now on a straightaway right by their rearview mirrors. There's Junior right behind him. He's cut the interval by a third here in the last lap and a half.
He's digging. You're the man.
He was actually slower than the first 3 cars on that lap, though. Dale Jr. was.
Again, the story, Jimmy Johnson, Brian Vickers, Jeff Gordon pitted on lap 149, 51 laps from the checkered flag.
It's getting down to crunch time, boys. Mark Martin, look at him. He's on cruise control back here. Boyer goes around him, and here comes the 20 car also around him.
Martin came in 11th in the points. Right now, if he would finish where he is, he would jump 2 spots to 9th in the standings. In front of this group, Sam Hornish having another good run. Sam trying to get a top 5 finish, sitting back in 6th position. There's Sam.
Yeah, and he's had an eventful day. He got a lap down, then he got the free pass, but they lost the free pass because they pitted twice for fuel, so they were able to get it back later on. Smoking the right rear tire, it looked like. He's got that maybe sideways.
Good run for Casey Mears in 7th position, and for the first time this year and in quite a while, we can say this has been a great run for the Richard Childress Racing team as a whole.
And Casey Mears doesn't have as much fuel as Junior does, but he does have a couple laps more fuel than the leaders, so he has a chance to make it. But boy, we're inside of 4 laps to go now. Heart rates are going up on his pit boxes.
These guys have picked their lap times back up by about 2.5 tenths. So I think they're racing right now as hard about pretty much everything that they can get.
That's about all you can do now. Vince?
Chad Knaus just told Jimmy Johnson, you've got enough car to stay ahead of him. It's just a matter of whether or not we can make it. It is going to be that close, and I don't think Chad Knaus knows either. He has certainly not let his driver know, and certainly when they communicate back and forth between one another, it's a question mark as to whether they can get to the finish or not.
I can tell you one thing, if Jimmy Johnson doesn't make it, it wasn't because his car is tight. He's been sideways off of turn 4 about every time.
Won't have to wait too much longer. 3 laps to go.
Again, back in June, we had 2 leaders run out of gas here at Michigan on the final lap of the race. Mark Martin running 3rd, won the race. The 3 guys right now, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, very close to making these final 2.5 laps.
Toyota's never won at this racetrack. They would like nothing more than to kind of spoil the day of the big 3 up here. Brian Vickers would just love this. He's got himself in a great position. He sits right now.
Oh, here he goes. Jimmy's out of fuel.
Jimmy's out.
Coming to pit road.
So with 3 laps to go, Johnson falls off.
Back her down.
Okay, now we got 2 laps to go.
Vickers can really back out for a minute.
And this looks like deja vu for the 48 car having to come in and get fuel.
Jeff Gordon's just under 1.5 seconds behind Vickers.
You got pressure, go. When you got pressure, go.
Wow, 2 races in a row for these guys, 48 team. Here comes Vickers.
Now, what about Vickers and Gordon? Remember, Gordon pitted on 149, so did Vickers.
I'll tell you, Jeff Gordon kind of sat there and didn't run as fast as those front 2 guys for a long time. He might have been able to save enough.
Okay, here they come for the white flag.
Coming down, as you mentioned, Toyota has never won at Michigan. Brian Vickers, the pole sitter, hasn't won since 2006.
Pulling hard off turn 2.
And it was right here back in June that the leader's car began to sputter and cough. That was Greg Biffle. Right now, Vickers still under power.
Looking good so far.
Yeah, he was probably about half throttle going down the back straightaway because he knows that Jeff Gordon's in the same position. He doesn't really have to worry about him.
He's going to make it.
Brian Vickers looks like he's going to make it happen.
Get to us, bud. Get it to us.
And coming down for the checkered flag for his 2nd career win, Brian Vickers does it at Michigan.
Jeff Gordon will come 2nd. Dale Jr. 3rd. Here's Mark Martin losing spots. He goes through turns 3 and 4. He's just in the middle of 3 and 4 right now.
Yeah, he's going to lose a lot of spots. But how about Brian Vickers?
Matt Kenseth running out right as he gets to the line. He lost a couple of spots.
And Mark Martin still has not made it across. Coasting down out of turn 4 as you look at Brian Vickers, the winner.
Wow. Mark's going to be about the last car on the lead lap. That's what we were talking about. That's a real gamble. Brian Vickers, what a great job by that young man today.
Sat on the pole here for the third race in a row, and had not gone to victory lane since October of 2006, 87 races ago. Jamie.
First win here for Toyota, first win for Red Bull Racing, and Ryan Pemberton, crew chief. What were these moments like for you? How close were you on fuel?
I think that shows, right? Al, man, he's still got enough. I have to say that I learned from the first few races how good he was at saving fuel. And if you listen to us, I didn't say a word to him. He knew exactly what he had to do. That's way cool, man. I can't say enough about this team, what everybody's building. Thanks, sir. The cars that we're building now, I mean, you just feel so good coming to the racetrack, so confident. The driver's, he's right there, and it was fun coming to the racetrack this week, and this tops it off here.
Long in the coming for Brian Vickers, 87 races since his only Sprint Cup victory, Doc, and he does it from the pole.
And a roll of the dice, and he is out of gas.
He was going to do a burnout or get the flag here, and he ran out of gas, so he's sitting in front of victory lane now. Can't quite get there. But what a great job. These guys, they're 12 points out of the chase right now.
And Mark Martin lost a ton of points right there.
What a huge gamble for Vickers, but it pays off. And you want a ticket to the chase, folks, you enjoyed that, and I hope you did. There's plenty more to come where that came from. Thunder Valley next Saturday night, Bristol, Tennessee, Atlanta, Richmond, and then the chase begins. You know, with the New Hampshire International Speedway, the final 10 races, we're going to have one heck of a chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup title. There is Brian Vickers jumping out of the car. What an effort and what a day. Let's go down and visit Jeff Gordon. Shannon.
Well, we're down here with Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. sitting on the wall. Great fuel mileage day for you guys. Dale Jr., tell me what, you guys came back from a vibration on pit road to come back to finish this race. How was your run today?
It was good. We made some good changes at the end to help the car a lot. I want to thank Amp Energy and National Guard and my team. They did a good job giving me some good strategy at the end to kind of make it right back up toward the front.
How much did you guys need this run today just for overall morale?
I'm real happy with how we run. And hopefully we can keep it going.
All right, good luck to you next week, Vince.
Jimmy Johnson dominated this race today, but again, just a little bit short on fuel. Second time in a row. Can you sum up the frustration of being so close and not being able to get it?
You know, certainly frustrated, but we've won one race on fuel mileage ever. And it's just not what we're good at. So I think it's a little too risky for us even to try it. We got lucky once in Phoenix, and outside of that, we've always come up short. From inside the car, I did all I could. I mean, I was running half throttle for 80 to 90% of that run, and I don't know how else I could have saved any. So it's just the way it goes. We got a lot of power under the hood. It takes a lot of fuel. We had a great car, and it sucks to have stats like we do here, leading laps, and not go to victory lane. But we're working hard at it, and I have to congratulate Brian Vickers on his first win, or second win, I should say. His first win, he and I kind of got together, and I know it was hard on him at the time. So very pleased for him to get another win here. It's great.
Jimmy Johnson, a dominating day, but he finishes 33rd. Shannon?
Well, Jeff Gordon in the 24 team. Steve Letarte said you guys were 3 laps short, but he did not. He told you not to back down. What is that like for a driver just going for broke?
Well, 3 laps, that's 6 miles here. You know, I knew I saved a lot leaving pit road on that last pit stop. I mean, I felt like right there I got us at least a lap, maybe even 2. And then when that caution came out, I shut the engine off right away. I felt like I got the other 2. So, you know, I was running along there. It wasn't as good as the 83 or the 48, and we weren't sure if we could make it all the way. So wanted to conserve a little bit, saw the 99 coming, and wanted to just hold him off. And then Junior started coming really hard. So, you know, I didn't save a lot. I mean, there at the end I did. I really thought the 83 was going to run out after the 48 ran out, but he didn't. So we'll take another second place here at Michigan. Great effort by the DuPont Chevrolet team.
Jeff Gordon moved from 3rd to 2nd in the point standings. Doc?
Thank you, Shannon. Let's go down to our Degree V12 Victory Circle, where Brian Vickers is already celebrating. Dave.
Celebrating with every member of the team, including Ryan Pemberton, who made that call. And he already talked to Jamie about that. Brian, I couldn't believe when he said we were 25 away from our window, and that would have been lap 150. Were you surprised at what he was asking you to do?
Yes and no. We went through this several times, and he's asked me to give him 2 laps, and I gave him 5. So he said, go get it. Just do what you did here last time. He made the call. It was a great call. The 2 tires definitely kept us up front, clean air, which helped. Oh, man, I don't know what to say. I'm so proud of this Red Bull group, Toyota, TRD. Man, it feels so good to be in victory lane. We've gone through so many pains, so many downtimes together. I just got to thank the fans for coming out. I know the economy is down, but I am so thankful to have these NASCAR fans here, even in a bad economy. And look at them. I mean, they just about filled the place out. So proud of them.
Ryan Vickers puts Toyota in victory lane for the first time at Michigan. Red Bull Racing with a W for the first time here today. Alan?
Well, another fuel mileage twist of plot here at Michigan, and later tonight it is the NHRA Lucas Oil Finals from Minnesota, 10 Eastern Time, ESPN2, the late night wrap-up on NASCAR Now. Our Monday roundtable is 5 Eastern Time, presented by the Home Depot tomorrow, ESPN2. Then next weekend it's on to Bristol Friday night for the NASCAR Nationwide Series race, and next Saturday night the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race, presented by Pennzoil, 6:30 Eastern on ESPN. What a crazy race. All kinds of strange things happen at the end. Junior charging. Jimmy Johnson runs out of fuel. Mark Martin loses ground in the race to the chase. And in the end, Toyota gets a win in Michigan. Brian Vickers is the victor today at Michigan. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. SportsCenter is now.